So the next one is going to be far, and then the next one is going to be near, and then the last one is going to be far. F and F! Oh my god! Let's go over our prog, shall we? Let's do some prog review. I'm gonna go through my M1S, M2S, M3S, and M4S videos, and I'm gonna talk about how I thought about all the mechanics, what I should have done differently, if anything, what I would have done better, what I think I did well, and just talk about the mechanics. And then if chat has any questions on how mechanics work, I can try my best to answer. But because of the nature of the fact that we went through the fights really fast, there were some things that we just straight up never learned and we just worked through. So I might not be able to answer everything, but I'll try my best. So just before we start, I did really like all the fights, actually. I enjoyed them all. I don't think there was a single fight that I was like, man, this sucks. They were actually all very fun. And Dragoon was pretty damn good on all of them. I probably, like, if I was really trying and we were struggling on 4, that's the one I probably would have swapped to Reaper on because of the narrowing witch hunt and widening witch hunt mechanic. That one was annoying, but we'll get to that later. All the other fights that Dragoon was totally fun. So quadruple crossing was a pretty simple to understand mechanic, but we were going through it so quickly that I forgot the order of how it worked on multiple occasions, but still didn't get punished enough to do it. So in hindsight, for a mechanic like this, what I should have done is started calling it out to myself probably in the future. When something like this happens, when I struggle with the order of a mechanic that's untelegraphed like this, I tend to do it better when I talk out loud to myself. So I probably should have just muted on Discord and just like said it to myself, or even said it in voice chat. I think nobody would have minded that. So we did DPS in,
Cardinal safe,
supports in, Cardinals, and then intercards. And we had a nice little system. I really liked how we did it with like the color buddies thing here. I liked that a lot. So that mechanic goes proximity bait, and then repeating AoEs on the first baits, and then repeating AoEs on the second baits. In that order, every time. Buster.
Reiterating, every hit of that tether, one shot, it's 130k.
Also, Keo right there was just talking about the tethers at the end of this fight. I don't think we did that clean at all. And we accidentally ended up doing what I think is now the PF strat, where the tanks... It's either the tethers or the stacks where the tanks just straight up fucking just invuln, right? I don't know which one. I think one of them goes through invuln and one of them doesn't. Maybe they both don't. I don't know. Either way.
If you got mid left, pop it there.
I've heard that tanks are just like invuln cheesing that mechanic, which makes sense.
Mike.
Left safe.
Left safe, right safe. Remember that. So the way that I do mechanics like this is like this same kind of thing as Cloud of Darkness, if you guys can remember. So what it just was left safe, and then right safe. And I repeated that to myself in my head. And then I wait for the ads to spawn, and then I do one at a time is how I figure it out. So I first looked at this one right here. I saw that it was behind us, and that the correct side of this ad was over here. I said, okay. And then I moved this way to stay on this side of this one. And then I looked across to see this one. And then I did the same thing while also staying on this half of the arena, basically. So the only overlap there is right over here. You can see everybody moved there earlier, probably because they were just following somebody who could figure it out faster. But I made sure myself to I went, okay, left of this one, and then left of the other one at the same time.
Number or letter.
You can see I did that first step there. And then I didn't even bother to think about where the second safe spot was going to be. I just looked up and saw where the overlap of the other hits were, because whatever's getting hit twice is the opposite of both, right? So I look on the other side, I wait till they cleave. And then I saw that the overlap was over here. So just stepped into the overlap, and that's it.
Letter, EV, double.
Double for later. Quadruple now. DPS in.
DPS in. Remaining at northwest.
Quadruple now. I was able to grab that one GCD before peeling off the boss.
Remaining at northwest of southeast.
If this were a more high-risk fight, I probably wouldn't have done that, but it was slow enough to where it wasn't even a problem.
Supports in.
Happy and
Cardinal,
Nuber were
Cardinal.
so on point with calls this tier.
Northwest, southeast. Northwest, southeast. Double.
So Theo died there because he went to the wrong spot. Luckily for us, it wasn't a complete alive check. There weren't a whole lot of body checks this tier, honestly. A lot of things like that stack that was supposed to go off on healers just didn't go off.
One stack was off. We learned that
Very
earlier.
strange. So how I handled this one as well is after the few pulls that we did, I realized that there was always 2 safe in the middle 4 squares. And I just looked at the middle 4 squares. I didn't look at the outside ones at all. And I just saw which ones got hit twice and which ones didn't. Usually it would hit every single one of the inside squares one time before it would start dishing at the second hits. And that's kind of like the process of how I use this. So bottom right, top left, bottom left. And now after those first 4 hits in the middle, I just wait to see which ones get hit again. All right, top left and bottom right are unsafe, which means that 4 and 2 are safe. So I wait till 4 gets hit one time, step on it, then I'm good. I'm not sure if how we did this is the best way, but it did seem like a pretty good way at the time, to where if we resolve all of our mechanics on the west side, we know that for the first 2 parts, because there's 2 resolves on each side, we could have the entire party stay on one side the entire time, I'm pretty sure. There's probably a much easier way to do this, but our main problem was that we set a prio and then didn't follow it for most of the time, because half the party still didn't understand how the leaning down and standing up of the cat worked here. And so they'd kind of just like run around like a chicken with their head cut off, and then everybody would just watch whoever had the paw over their head and then just try not to be on the same side as them. In all honesty, like we had a decent plan for this, but we had not had enough reps on it to fully understand how to read it quickly. But Nuber came up with the idea to resolve west first, which I liked, which means that the party could pretty safely stand on the east.
DPS.
All right, so Mr. Happy gets it, and we learned that so whenever Black Cat lands on the player with the paw, they send out the big plus marker, which will send people flying off the arena. When she's standing up, the player who gets hit will stay on the platform that they're currently on and crack it. When she's leaning down, she'll do the plus AoE immediately wherever they're standing, but then send them forward 1 square wherever the player is facing.
Clean.
So she's standing up right now, so the call was clean. I came up with in my head to say down crack was the way I remembered it. Whenever she's leaning down, you want to stand on a crack. So he's on clean on the west side. Boom, lands on him. The big plus sign goes off.
Move to 2 right now.
Now it's down, so Fizzy needs to stand on crack, which could have been either 4 right here. Fizzy could have stood right here or right here if we still wanted to do resolve on west side first.
Correct.
Fizzy goes southwest.
That one worked. Nuber was just trying to call one of the working spots. So, oops. It was either here or here, right? So he called southwest because this is southwest. But Fizzy found this one first and went up there. But
That's fine up there.
Okay,
it
that's
works.
fine, that works too.
Totally fine.
So Black Cat lands, does the plus immediately, and then sends Fizzy forward 1 square. And now the plan was to do resolve on east.
Correct.
And I saw crack, so down crack. I should have been on that side, but I saw my whole party was there already. If we were doing 2 west, 2 east, the party should have all moved here, but they're all staying over here, so I just went, you know, off them.
Party stay on 2.
Party on 2. Theo move. Theo move. Theo move to 2.
Plus marker goes off, party safe. Boom, I land on that. And then clean is the last one. So Newbird needs to go on the only remaining clean tile, actually, all the way down there, which means that the party's safe all over here.
Clean.
Stand 2.
2 or 3 is safe.
I'm not gonna have bloodweight.
Does she do 2 up and 2 down? It seems like it, yeah. Either that or we got incredibly lucky. Biscuit Maker, Tank Buster. You reorient north here, and we had group 1 go north and group 2 go south. And so I would look south since I was on the south side for group 2. I would stare at the corners, and you look at the lines forming, and whatever one starts getting these lines, and not just these lines, that's the corner you want to go to. So I see that this one started getting both. It started getting the cross pattern, so this one was getting rebuilt first and faster. orient myself, gap close, and then all the melees agreed to go in. Nuber was on summoner though, so
soon.
it was easy. Okay, so she's do the leaping.
Inner safe, jumping left.
Inner safe jumping left was the call. So that recording, that action that Black Cat just did just got recorded and then dumped into this ad right here. So later it's going to be inner safe jumping left. This is quadruple jumping right is going to be dumped into, she's recording the action right now and it's going to be dumped into the ad that's going to end up spawning here. So we're just remembering jumping right for quadruple. Do quadruple.
Sportsman. Cardinal. Intercard.
Intercard.
This is towards B, inner first.
All right, and then that recording is getting dumped into this ad right here.
Group 1 north.
This is inner safe, jumping left. And then what we did for this was just group 1 north, group 2 south.
Cross.
And then crossover. And this is
Square, the
quadruple
little
right jump.
Squares
Yep,
on the
using the
ground.
square.
And then just to be clear, this moves, we were saying the square, there's one of these right here. Under the boss right here. You can't really see it because the boss is standing there, but that's what we used to orient ourselves, was that square. It's not the
Markers
boss's
will be
hitbox,
up
it
first.
jumps to
Don't
that
have a
square
mark
right
on your
there.
head, you'll be in. DPS in.
And so whatever roll here gets selected by these spread markers cannot go in first. So this one was DPS in first.
Out.
No need to move positions, just different order, potentially.
Supports in, DPS out. Cardinal safe, cardinal safe.
Cardinal safe.
Intercard.
And then right here, these are going to go off. I said this, but I think it kind of got overlooked because there's only 3 melees in our group. But if I go max melee right here, High can stand like right here and stay in melee range and not get hit. I think I might have hit him with this one though. Maybe I didn't.
We have a
Big
lot of
pots. Frequently, a few times my Dragoon rotation got a little messed up alignment wise because what it's supposed to be right now is GCD and then second weave window lance charge and then GCD and then litany into gear skoggle. It got flipped around a few times during prog, but it wasn't really a big deal. The most important thing is that when you start your burst window, you want obviously all 3 of your buffs to be closely aligned, and then your big 3 buttons that you need to hit, not necessarily in order, but as soon as they go off, is your high jump, your dragonfire dive, those are the 2 most important, and then star diver. Get that on cooldown so you can press your star cross before buffs fall off. The lower priority OGCDs are definitely your Nastrins. You can fire all 3 of those off at the very end if you need to, and you need to prioritize after these actually. Life Surge is really important in buffs now because of how high potency stuff can be, and well, effective potency, not actual potency. And then Wormwind thrusts. Since we have a 5-hit combo and then the 6th hit will give you your Raiden thrust, with how the GCD speed for Dragoon works, your Wormwind thrust is going to come up at different times for almost every single burst window. It's not going to come up at the same time. So you just need to be cognizant of your Life Surge charges and whenever you have a Wormwind thrust, and make sure that you don't overcap those and also try to use them as in buffs as much as possible. Not really that different than Endwalker, but it's a little more important now. And I only say that because you have so much more personal damage gain on your gear skoggle, and you don't have to wait 10 seconds to fire your Nastrins. Just little things to think about. Again, whenever I'm watching these inner squares, every single one of these is going to get hit 1 time first, and then after that I just see which ones get hit twice.
One pretty safe.
Which would be 1-3 in this example.
You're safe right here.
Should be horizontally. Handle the north ones first.
We were juicing, by the way.
That's
I don't know. I have to watch other teams' prog VODs to see like how fast they killed these fights, but we skipped a lot
Handling
of
west
mechanics.
first. Handling west again.
Party
Or the Dragon Song dive.
Parties should be east, yes.
Support.
In hindsight, we probably didn't need to do that. We probably could have just saved the healer LB because the tether mechanic is a thing. But, you know,
Thinking
whatever.
about where you're gonna go, if it's clean or cracked.
I think next time, next tier I do, if the DPS checks seem to be as easy as that, I'm almost just never gonna press melee LB3. IMO. I just don't think it's worth it when the tier's this easy. So that's something I can improve
Crack,
next tier.
Crack, crack.
Down crack.
Just the regular stuff. I battle.
So, like, if we're doing that mechanic the way that some people in chat were describing just now, Kyo could have stood here and landed right here. It would have knocked him like that. He's landing on, I believe, 2. Where's he facing?
Next
No, he's
support.
landing
Watch
on
your head.
up there. Yeah, that's funny.
Crack, crack, crack.
Down crack again. So Zeph just goes there.
Stuff again. Next 2 will be rolls. Party will be on the west. Party on the west.
Yeah, so to mitigate any potential issues with, there's a mechanic here called Splintered. The boss in between all these paw mechanics here is gonna do either Splintered or I believe Overpowered or something like that. Overpowered's just a stack. You just fucking stand in it and it's super easy. But when it does Splintered, it's roll cleaves, so it's gonna hit. Oh, ain't no way my PC just fucking restarted. All right, so Nuber said next 2 will be rolls because the first 2 were stack. We were operating off the assumption that for the 4 different paw mechanics the boss was doing here, it was going to have 2 of each of 2 stacks. Oops. And then 2 roll cleaves. Which I think is correct.
Clean tile, pick a tile.
So clean tile and then splintering nails come out. The way that we handled this as a group, I think is probably just the best way to do it. Some people in the group were opting to try to use more space like this and take up more than 1 square. But then we were like, nah, fuck that. Let's be really like lazy about this and also kind of more safe in one aspect and just do it all in the same square. So we'll just find 1 safe tile from whoever is resolving their paw. And we'll just do this. The roll cleaves are just small enough to where it won't hit you if you do it like this. So we had healers stand in the middle, we had tanks stand over here, and we had DPS stand on the right edge. So looking at the boss, tanks would always be on the left, healers would be in the middle. It just fucking restarted again. Oh yeah, splintering, you can see.
Rolls.
The roll cleaves are just small enough to where you don't overlap each other. Very nice.
Clean
Clean.
tile.
Party has to
tile.
go east.
2.
Yeah, party east. 2. Party 2.
Two.
Party 2.
Two.
Splintering.
Rolls.
Rolls.
North South Orient.
All right, for this one again, just checking to see where the crosshatch is on my half of the arena. For this one, I'm south,
1
so
3 again.
I'm saving expedience.
it was the same issue, Vinyl, same one.
Buffs. Start thinking about where you're gonna go. Group 1.
Sending
on
out
the
buffs.
boss
At this
ring.
point, we saw the boss was almost
Healers
dead,
grabbing
so I was
healers
kind of
first.
just
Healers
like,
grabbing healers
Group 2 is max melee. If you can afford to, group 2 go way out.
So what our plan was here was to have group 1 here and then group 2 max melee. And then we wanted to have the tethers be in between this. So the tethers would be like here was what we wanted to do. And then I think our order was HMRT was what we were going to do. And this, in theory, does work. We just couldn't get it to. I think we fucked it up a little bit. So, I don't know if Kyo took a stack there or what. He just like fucking died to something.
Got the stack.
Oh, maybe he got clipped by the stack. Yeah, that might have been it.
Nice.
And then all the stacks and stuff just started going wrong because someone died and everyone was freaking out. So what I think ended up happening here was I lived with 1600 HP. Somebody else picks it up, and then I think we accidentally started doing the tank strat here, where the tanks just invuln and just pick everything up and just hope that we don't die. Yeah, see, they just pick it up.
Got it up.
Res. Yep.
I didn't get one of the stacks here.
Killed
Easy.
me, killed
And then we ended up just going through all of them. I survived, and
1%, just kill it.
Kill the boss.
and then I ripped the LB1.
Yeah, we could have
Boom.
done those at 8
That's a-
for the stacks.
It was a good bowl.
So we never really did the last mechanic right, like I mentioned, but like we had the right plan. I think somebody just got clipped by the stack. In my opinion, I thought about this too. What I wanted to do was have group 1 stack right here, group 2 stack on the C marker, and then have the tethers be on the side right here, like this. Hell, you could even move group 1 to like fucking like right here. Have group 2 be back here, and then have a tether just outside the hitbox over here. I think that's what I wanted to do, and I probably should have brought that up and just made my group do it. I don't know if you guys noticed this too. I think a couple people did, but this isn't the first year this happened, where I'll recommend something that I think is like a really good way to do the mechanic, and I know for a fact that it'll work, and then nobody in the group listens to me. They're just like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but no. I think next year I need to be more assertive about when I fucking solve something like this. I need to be like, no, we're doing this. Because I think in every single fight I came up with a really good way to do things. Thank God they listened to me to N3S. We'll get to that later. I came up with a really good way of doing that, and people were trying to figure out a really fucked up way to do it. We'll get to that. But like, I need to be more assertive, and I need to be more confident in the fact that when I solve something, I fucking solve something. So again, like I mentioned, I did like all these fights. This one in particular, to me, whenever I say something is easy, that's just a relative thing. Difficulty is always relative. So to me, this fight was really easy because it's what I call an honest fight. It has lots of honest mechanics. There isn't really anything super puzzly about this fight at all. It's just like, hey, I'm the boss. Do this right now or die. That's just the whole fight. There's nothing to like solve here. It's just like, here's what you need to do, now do it. And because of that, our team was able to clear this fight really fast, actually. We did real good. Bunch of execution. Yep. Doing my little opener here. Hitting some fat star crosses. Real nice, real nice. All right, so tempting twists. She also did, I can't remember here. She did Call Me Honey, and then she does something that coats her spear. Splash. So splash is spread. Easy way to remember that is they both start with SP. Sprash. Spled. The other one's drop. I don't know. Drop to me just sounds like stack, so that's how I remembered it. All right, so she's going to do a spread after this, and I know that it's going to be in, and then the spot I need to dodge to with after the in for me was always by the 3 marker outside. So I'm already thinking about how I have to move backwards here. I get my last GCD. I do a little fancy elusive jump. 1 piercing talon to be safe. I could probably, in all honesty, full uptime this the same exact way if I just gap closed right now and then hit that piercing talon as a GCD. Maybe. But just to be safe, because it's prog, jump out. Throw out the piercing talon. Like I probably could have stayed in for 1 more GCD there. Elusive jump, and then like immediately weaved that. Maybe, if you time your opener correctly. But it's prog, so I didn't even want to try to figure that out. That 1 GCD is not going to clear us the fight. All right, so doing the other one. I knew for basically all the outs except for the plus in this mechanic, or in this fight, I could max melee. So I always tried to find max melee for things. Pairs, stack with my partner. Killer Sting's just a tank buster. Bang, bang. These always hit really hard, so got to put lots of mid on those. This first time the transition happens, this one's actually super YOLOable. What we ended up doing as a group was whenever there was a tower close to the boss, like this that I'm drawing, we tried to just give those to the melees. And then when there was one like way the fuck out here, we just said ranged, go get it. And the only rule here was just don't get to 4. That's it. When you take one of the towers, you get another heart. So she had, if you remember E2S, oops. If you remember E2S, she has a similar kind of like retribution, or I forget the other one. She does a series of 3 attacks. It's the same 3 attacks in a different order. When she does center stage, she starts these as the safe spots. So that's where everyone's standing. And then I honestly can't remember. I think it's out after this. Yeah, out inner cards. So she does the plus immediately after center stage. And I realized after a few pulls of seeing it that the middle of this marker gets hit like that. So as long as I stood on the backside of 3 away from the boss, I was going to be safe every time. And I also noticed that when she kind of just like, she like shoves her spear up a little bit, I know when that spear started moving, that's when the hit was going out. So that's when I needed to get to that back corner. And then this one was max meleeable, so I'd go in for the GCD, and then I'd back up along this line until... What I do to find max melee really fast, I don't know if anybody else does this, but if you look at my GCDs, this might be a good tip, actually. If you look at my GCDs, you see this little X? That means I'm not in range to use it. And I know that sounds like, oh, that's, yeah, duh, of course. But like what I would do whenever I have to find max melee is I'll go in and I'll hit that GCD when I know I'm visually close enough. I'll walk back until I see that X, and then I'll just fucking tiny taps of my button, my movement button, until I see that I can use it again. That's how you find max melee really fast. So in, backside of the 3 marker, wait for her to move. She moved. All right, I'm going back in. I see that I can use my abilities, and then I see the X, and then I just tap forward slightly until I get the max melee range. And then towers here, I know I have 2 already. I spawned with 2, so I can only take 1 tower, and I'm probably just gonna wait until the end to take a tower.
Here you go. I have south.
I'll just grab this one because, you know, help out, and I can take one.
I'll go Bravo down.
Okay.
And all we did for this, we had no priority. All we did was just call out, like you can hear us doing. Just calling it out.
All yours.
Love Seeker wasn't out. I probably could have greeted this, in all honesty, but again, it's week 1. The checks are probably really easy. At this point, I also had like 4 730 accessories from the first turn, so like I wasn't stressing having to press Piercing Talon a few times.
Avoid the middle. Avoid the middle. Don't get any more.
Oh, the problem that I still hadn't realized at this point with this fight was that Love Seeker, as soon as this AoE goes off, this whole area is going to be covered with pink fucking gas and bullshit, right? And I'm doing a Star Diver at the same fucking time, right? Right now, the hearts are already here and they're moving out.
Avoid the middle.
I didn't see that because of all the fucking animations going off. But what I needed to remember after the first time seeing it, even in normal mode, what I needed to remember was that as soon as that Love Seeker goes off, these hearts start coming out. So next time, little stupid shit like this, I need to pay attention to that. Because if this were a harder fight, I would have just cost my team, what, 4 minutes, 6 minutes of a prog time?
Oh, this spawns so fast.
I got really lucky here that this somehow doesn't kill you. But those are just things that you need to remember. It also heals her, yep. So that's really bad.
2 hearts or less, you're stacking. 2 hearts or less, high stack, high stack. Watch the hearts.
Okay.
Watch the hearts. Watch the hearts.
Watching stuff, watching stuff.
Out.
This is outer stage combo, so it doesn't matter what spot, like this is my spread spot, right? Because of how the hearts were going off and the stack and all that, I found myself on the other side of the arena where I should have been, quote, for my clock spot. So it doesn't matter because since there's no like roll cleaves or like buddy stacks or anything here, I just completed the mechanic from here. And like I said, I watch my actions to see when that X shows up, and then I just tap my way in. You see that tiny little movement there that I did? The X shows up, and then I just tap until I'm max melee.
Card, out into card.
I just go out, don't greet anything, and then gap close back in.
Make sure you actually look at your heart count.
Was the damage up noticeable from all the hearts? Oh yeah, it did start to hurt a little bit, but luckily for us, our tanks and our healers were fucking giga goated, and they just handled it whenever we got it. Ideally though, just fucking don't get 4 hearts. It's really easy not to, actually. I should not have ever gotten 4 hearts in this fight, but I made the mistake of just being like, I'm a melee DPS. Love Seeker goes off, that big AoE circle around her, and I'm just not gonna think about anything else that she's doing. What I should have done was make sure that the path was clear right here. There's no hearts coming at me. Remember that they're coming out. And then I should have moved in. There's plenty of other GCDs I could have done besides the Star Diver.
Brilliant.
This mechanic is fucking shakes my head. Wild.
Can you mark the tank stuff?
So I would have preferred if Zeph moved north, and I did tell him that, just so I can pre-plan. I don't want to have to look like, oh, there's a safe spot over here. There's one over here too. Oh, maybe there's one over here. One over here. One over here. And then like, okay, I'm just going to fucking wait for where my tank goes and pray that I go in the right direction. So I told him to go north and then just pick a safe spot over there. And what he ended up doing, I think, was he said he was going to go north and then walk into the first safe spot possible. And then from there, YOLO.
31, fourth one.
So I knew he was going north. He, for some reason, went this way instead, but that's okay.
Just play safe. Doesn't matter.
At least it wasn't behind me. I think I actually got hit by one of these. And then I like, during this entire phase, I was ready to slam that wing glide. And as soon as I was going to get hit by something, I knew I was just going to, slap that wing glide again. And cancel the knockback. And I'm pretty sure that happened right here. Yep. So I take the damage down. In all honesty, what I should have done here
Completely safe.
was just full downtime, like walked that way. Cause the boss had already gone this way and I was still stuck walking like this. I should have just fucking went over there. Or in this example, like maybe dodge that way, or just followed my tank, which had a marker over his head. The way I handled doing this was really stupid. I shouldn't have done it that way. Especially considering my role as the melee DPS, who's not flexing to like a battle res like Nuber is I cannot die. Competitively, I cannot die. And I cannot get damage downs either. Because all the gear has gone to me, if I'm dying, I am losing us so much value. So I absolutely cannot get these, but I did, and I fucked up. So our plan for this was we were just going to throw all the ones in the middles. We were going to throw the 0 supports up top, and we're going to throw the 0 DPS down below. And then we're all just going to rotate clockwise. Between the zeros, one of us is going to get a stack marker, and the other one's going to get a spread marker. We're going to complete the stack, and then the spread marker is going to go out somewhere, or maybe in if it's safe. And then the person who had the stack is going to stay in the tower, I think was what we decided. Or maybe it was the 1 marker.
DPS are north tower. DPS are north
I can't
tower.
remember exactly.
Supports are south tower. Supports are south tower.
Oh yeah, the ones from the middle did that, and we just handled the stack. That's right. That way everyone's at 2 here.
Spares.
Was the song distracting at any point? No, it was awesome. I love this song.
Painting.
It's a banger. And so what this one is, so I mentioned that the first phase where she transitions and gives us hearts is YOLOable. This one is not. So that's why we had to come up with a plan for this, and we couldn't just YOLO it. Like if we could just YOLO it, we just have all the supports in one stack and all the DPS in another, and then just fucking throw everybody in the tower and blah, blah, blah. We need everybody to not be at 3. We have to be at 2 at the end of all of this, because she does one of the drops at the end of this, or the splash, which is going to guaranteed give everybody 1. So we found a way to just give everybody 2 exactly.
Spares.
She does the beeline here. We do pairs, and this puts everybody up to 3, which is why we had to make sure nobody was at 3 at this point. Because if we were at 3 and then we did that pair mechanic or the spread mechanic, they would have got to 4, healed the boss, and gave him damage up. All right, splash. So thinking about spread for later. And so what we did here was we kind of we put all the supports on one side, we put all the DPS on another side, and then we just did a loose spread around the boss. If you got a marker over your head, there were no real priorities. It was, since we were loose spreading around our clock spots, just go out and try to put it on the edge of the safe spot wherever you're at.
Very, very deadly.
Watch your head.
I think if you have smart players, you don't need a prio for this at all, because there's so much time to just like see where people already went and then just go out to a spot. Nice and easy. So I saw that I was sitting here watching behind me this entire time. I got my marker finally, and I was eyeballing this spot and this spot mentally, and then I see that, oh, there's a line here, so that means the wall over here is super safe. I'm just gonna go drop it there.
Supports on the left, DPS on the right.
And watch the actual thing.
Watch the marker.
And then we weren't entirely sure if this is a roll stacks kind of thing. I think I noticed it happen twice in a row where a support got a stack and a DPS got a stack, so I suggested we try this, because we had a problem multiple times where we'd do group 1 left, group 2 right, and then we'd end up with 2 stacks on the same side, and then we wouldn't know who was supposed to go over, and we died to that. It ended up working for this one, so we were like, sure. I think the safer strategy for this is probably stand on the corners of the safe spot on the inside, but we just did east-west and it worked out just fine. It's very close though. Since I have gear, and Nuber's also on melee but doesn't have gear, he's the priority for limit breaking. Spread. Whenever we did this spread, at first I was going like here, but then I realized that that was kind of kicking high off the boss, so we just opted for a spread like this instead, so we can get all 4 melees up on the boss. Which is something you gotta consider.
I'll be in safe.
Just reminding Nuber to LB.
It should be good.
Sports will be first. Dodge first.
Outer stage. So again, my trick for finding the max melee for this and for any other kind of mechanic. When you're in range, you won't have the little X in the bottom corner of your melee abilities. I walk out until I see the X, highlighting it again, in case that's not obvious. This is the little X I'm talking about. It's super small, kind of hard to see. It's right here too, and here, and here, and here. I walk out till I see the X, and then I just tap, tiny taps, until I get close enough again.
Later.
Boom. That way I know I'm at maximum melee. Out, not risking it, and then in.
Supports will be out, DPS will be in. Supports out, DPS in. Towers for DPS.
Towers DPS. I think maybe it was this pull. I almost forgot that I needed to go out at the end of this, and I fucking booked it. Grab that GCD, backside of the 3 marker. And then you may be thinking, whoa, you moved really fast, Whoops. We've done this mechanic enough times for me to realize that as soon as she starts moving like that, you see that kick she does and she moves her spear up? The damage right now has already gone off at this point in time. So from this point, I'm good to just move right here. I'm good to do this movement right now because she started moving.
Out.
I did get hit by that one though. I did it a little too early. Yeah, I forgot that I needed to go out because I got hit by that actually.
Out.
Sports in.
And I went, oh fuck! And I just ran out. Came back in. And then I think I made the call that I have 3 here, so I'm gonna get stunned.
Woops has 3.
This is pairs.
What I should have asked here, since it was pairs, is I should have asked for high if he had his invuln, and then I could have maybe gone away from him and potentially saved myself from healing the boss. But I think it ended up targeting DPS anyway, so it didn't really matter. All in all, I did a very poor job this fight. I did not respect the mechanics enough. So all this mechanic is as soon as you get into this phase, you look at your own debuff, and then you look at the party list, and you see who has the opposite color or letter, however you want to do it, and has the same timer as you. So looking at the party list, I see Mr. Happy has the beta. I'm the alpha. We're both at 42 seconds. So I know that we're going to be partners later on.
Find your buddy.
Be me and Zeph. Me and Zeph middle now. Me and Zeph middle. Yep. Me and Zeph out.
Do the partner shares give 2 hearts to one player if not soaked as a pair? I actually don't know. It might.
Fizzy and Theo after the raid wide when you heal up.
Ready? Middle.
Fizzy and Theo.
Alright, so they touch and they pop.
You guys go back to your ass spots. Next will be
Me and Happy after
Whoops
the
and Happy.
after the raid one. When we're healed up.
Wide, yep.
So we wait for the wade wide from the boss. Wait for... I'm always like, whenever I say waiting for us to get topped up. So the raid wide goes off. If we popped right now, I would kill everybody in the party. So I'm watching right here. I'm watching the health bars. What I'm looking for is probably for at least over half HP and also for the yellow icons for the shields. That's what I look for.
Ready?
So I see lots of health. I'm not waiting for shields though. That works good.
Behind Theo after.
Boss raid wide's coming.
There's nothing left from me for this last raid wide.
From me too.
Healers don't have anything left, we're hearing, so at this point I'm popping my bloodbath and my second wind because my healer said they don't have much.
Send your remaining ones, whatever you have.
And then I look at the boss HP and she's super dead, so we're chilling.
My queen.
Wide.
So that was M2S. I think progging and understanding the mechanics, I picked them all up really fast. I made the mistake of not respecting it enough. And I think I knew that the boss probably would have died even if I had respected the mechanics a little bit more. So what I should have done was make sure that I know when the hearts from the boss were going to come out. And then I should have also not greeted on center stage combos and outer stage combos. This fight in particular, I felt like I understood the mechanics pretty quickly and I came up with some good strategies for them. And at least at one point, I put my foot down and made my static try an idea for, I forget what the mechanic's called. It's like some kind of fuse thing where everybody needs to spread out while also dodging all the circles on the arena. So what, did you think the raid was too easy? No, it was not. It was good. For me, it was pretty easy, but I know it's not easy for everyone, so I'm not going to call it easy. I actually don't remember what happened on our clear pull for this fight, so it'll be interesting to watch again. Okay, Octuple Lariat. When his hands aren't glowing, it's like I basically thought of all the lariats as like default. This is how they worked when they're glowing or not glowing. And then when they were glowing, I just try to do the opposite variation of that. That's like literally how it's described, but that's just the way I interpreted it in my head as well, like during the fight. Octoboom dive, I saw he's facing towards Delta. So at this point, I realized since this is proximity, I can keep max melee here. Realistically, I probably could have gone like all the way up to the midpoint to nab this very last GCD before he leaves, but didn't want to risk anything. And spread, we just had tanks go to the walls and melees in front of him. Knockback towers, this one's really annoying actually. This one's surprisingly annoying. Mostly because there isn't a really good indicator on when these towers resolve, especially since we were knockback resisting these. I think in hindsight, what I would have liked to do instead was have a movement like this. Move into the tower and position yourself on these notches here, or like maybe to the side of the notch to get knocked to here as pairs, vice versa from the other side, right? And then going from this one to the middle and then getting knocked behind the boss. I think that kind of sucks for casters. It probably sucks for everyone actually, but it's really hard to tell when these towers go off unless you look for the explosion damage on yourself, or you look for the bomb exploding with all these overlapping colors in the same spot. It was just kind of strange.
Immune.
So we were all knockback immuning these, and then we'd have melees go right looking inward, and then casters go left looking inward.
In your tower. They're not already.
So I'd wait for this explosion, and then I'd look for this, it's kind of hard to see, the explosion damage text on me, and then I would move. And then you almost don't even make that, is the scary part. And then you have to run all the way to middle and then get knocked behind them. That's one way to do it, and I think we just stuck with that because that's just how we solved it first, and we saw that it could work pretty reliably. In reclears, I think I'm going to try to ask that we just do all of the knockbacks. It's much easier to tell when the tower goes off, and it should also knock you the correct distance, I'm pretty sure. Sending buffs, big fucking damage. All right, his hands are glowing now, so it's in instead of out for that lariat. And then, in case it wasn't incredibly obvious already, at the beginning of all of these lariats or boom dives, he either says quadro or octo. Octo means 8, quadro means 4. So when it's 4 hits, that's pairs, and when it's 8 hits, that's spread. So quadro boom, so it's going to be pairs, and then since his hands are glowing on a dive, it's knockback instead of proximity, the opposite of the original. For this mechanic, I'd always try to be kind of cognizant of where Zeph was, and I'd also listen to see if he didn't have his gap closer, or if he just said, I can't make it there. I'd make sure that I was on him first before I greeted, like getting closer to the boss. I'd always listen for if he had anything to say. Brutal impact, I think I tried to put my feint on all the brutal impacts I could and catch a little bit of the tank buster with that feint. Sometimes repeating stacks and busters like this one update mitigation in real time, like for each hit, and sometimes they snapshot all of the mit on them as the cast bar goes off. It's honestly kind of inconsistent, so I didn't really bother trying to make my feint catch as much of that as I could. I just made sure it was on the brutal impact at least, and then whatever it covered on the buster it did. All right, so we actually came up with, and by we I mean Zeph, came up with a really good way of solving this mechanic. So what happens, the boss summons 2 clones on this first tag team here, and one of them will chain you. Only you can see this. Only you can see your own chain. Both of these ads are going to do a lariat just like normal mode. So if this guy raises his hand up here, his left arm, this is all going to be hit by that guy, right? And let's say this guy raises his right arm, all of this is going to be hit by this guy, which means that if you can see it, the correct spot to stand to not get hit by anything is 4. But when you're chained to an ad in this mechanic, you need to get hit by that ad or else you will die, because you're going to get a debuff on you, which can only be cleansed by getting hit by the one you're chained to, and only that one. Well, that's the only one that'll cleanse you. The other one will give you a damage down or whatever the fuck it is. You don't want to get hit by it. Probably the dot and the damage down. So the way that we solved this was, since there's only 2 ads on the outside and you want to get hit by the one you're chained to, you should actually just stay in the middle, look at the one you're not chained to, and then dodge that one. And as this comes out to, you know, finish, you'll kind of see what I mean. So I'm only looking at the one I'm not chained to. He raises his arm up this way. So I'm going to run away from that one because I don't want to get hit by him. I want to get hit by this guy because this guy right here is the one I'm chained to, is hitting no matter what. The middle is always going to be hit by him, and then whatever fucking side his arm is on, right? Because the AoE is huge. It doesn't just cover that half of the arena. It's not like this. It's fucking huge. So if you just look at the one you don't want to get hit by and then run to the wall away from his glowing arm, you'll get hit by the one you're chained to. Does that make sense? So I just ran out this way. Max melee. And then what we figured out was when these first lariats go off, it's not completely random where the next safe spot is going to be. The safe spot is going to be the opposite of wherever was safe the first time they go through, because this is a double lariat by both of the ads, the lariat combo. So for example, this guy over here is raising his right arm, so it's like up here, kind of off screen. And then this guy's raising his right arm, so it's up here off screen. So here's what the AoEs look like. This guy's hitting like this all the way across. And this guy's hitting like this all the way across. So I'm not getting hit by this guy, but I am getting hit by this guy who I'm chained to. So that's good. So when all this gets hit, the safe corner is 1. Look at that. Nothing is getting hit by 1. And what we figured out was, okay, 1 is the first safe corner. The next safe corner is always going to be the opposite one, just coincidentally. So I'm dodging the one I don't want to get hit by. I'm getting hit by the one I want to get hit by. And I already know that the safe spot is 3. So we just make our way over to 3. And you can max melee this too.
Out.
Octuple lariat. His arms are not glowing, so this is a normal lariat, which means out, and it's octuple, so it means spread.
And spread. Out spread.
Didn't even bother greeting it, just go out. What's next? I don't remember the timeline of this shit at all. Final fuse down. Oh, right. This one. So what we noticed, the important things to know about this mechanic is that 4 fuses spawn on the outside and 4 fuses spawn on the inside. And by that, I mean, there's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 around the middle in melee range. And then there's 4 on the outsides out of melee range. Coincidentally for us, we have 4 melee players and 4 ranged players. Also, these fuses go out on rolls. So I could see right now that high standing right there is a support. He has a short fuse. And me, a DPS, has a long fuse. It has the curve there, you see? So the supports are going to explode first. So they're going to go to the long fuses first because they don't want to get hit by the short fuses blowing up, because all the short fuses are going to blow up, both the bombs and the players at the same time first. So they need to stand in safe spots away from each other, which is the long fuses. So the long fuses are here, 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 and here. Those are all the long fuses. So those are the spots that the short fuse people want to go stand on to explode. And would you look at that? There's 2 ranged and there's 2 melee bombs to stand on. So since the supports are first, 1 tank will go right here. Another tank will go right here. A healer will go right here. And a healer will go over here. But whoops, where did the DPS stand? Right in the fucking middle in a tiny ass little baby safe spot. It kind of took some getting used to, but these bombs blow up in a circle like this, and then there's 2 tanks blowing up behind us like this. You see how there's a safe spot in the middle? Check that out. That's where you stand. And then after that, you just flip it. All we had for this was just a prio, so I believe what we ended up doing was group 1 would look, I think we did north and then this way, and then group 2 did this way and like that. Honestly, I just looked for Nuber and then I just went to the one he wasn't on. Honestly, it's like, yeah, it's like Snake Prio. It's also very similar to Ruby Carbuncle after Devour, same kind of prio.
DPS solving for their own when we're waiting in the middle.
So all the DPS go in the middle, and then we're already looking out for the DPS to see where we're going to stand. And all the short fuses are, you know, in spots like that in this corner. So I knew that immediately I was going to be on A or B. And then I did the priority and I go to B, because I'm group 2. Nuber's group 1. And then important for this, just to make this extra safe, you can see I probably could have stood here and maybe not hit them, but 1 pull earlier while we were progging this, I did overlap the supports who were hiding here in the safe spot. So just to be safe, I started not standing here, but just moving back away from the people who were hiding. even if it cost me a GCD. Whatever. It's not worth killing 4 people. All right, so they're raising. Somebody died, but the boss is doing quadra boom dive. Quad means pairs. Boom dive with the arms glowing means knockback. My partner's dead. So thinking proactively, I'm thinking, okay, he just got rezzed. He just took the res. I heard the sound. I need to find Zeph after the knockback. So I'm getting knocked back here. And instead of gap closing to the boss, I'm looking for where he is. As I'm getting knocked back here, I see, oh, there he is. I'm sprinting to him. Resolve the stack. Those are the kinds of things you need to think about in Prog. Fuse field. Okay, so fuse field is kind of similar to curtain call, people have been saying. When this fuse expires, this fuse buff expires, you blow up and kill everyone. There's also lines coming out here from the boss. All of these will get a little bomb on the end of them, and they'll slowly make their way towards the boss. Those need to be popped by players to explode and deal raid-wide damage. And you have to get all of them. So because there's 4 people with a short debuff, in this case is the DPS, all of them have the same timer. We're gonna go on the short timers because we're gonna explode first, and by touching that little bomb on the end, we'll A, defuse the bomb, and B, that also cleanses the debuff on us. So shorts go to the short lines and longs go to the long lines. I spawned with a long line behind me. That's not good. I need to be on a short line. So I'm immediately looking around, I'm looking left, I'm looking right for a support that's standing on a short line because we need to switch. Hey look, Kyo's a support and he's on a short line. I can see him right there. I don't know what other DPS need to switch, if any, but my left and my right aren't safe right now, so I need to go all the way over there. I just run over and I go yoink. And I think Kyo just went around clockwise until he found a safe one. And then for the order of how we did this, we just had a setup in our party. We already described this before Prog even started. D1, D2, D3, and D4. That's always Noober, me, Happy, and then Fizzy. And we just go D1 through 4 in that order. So the pop order for whenever it was the DPS turn, it could be long or short, was just Noober, me, and then that.
Next.
Yeah, it's like curtain call, kind of.
Next.
Happy goes. We wait for the heals.
Go.
It's important to note, you see this right here? On every single one of those explosions, we get this magic vuln. So if you pop 2 of them too close together, not only will that probably do enough damage to just kill you by 2, 62,000 damage explosions, potentially. If the magic vuln's off, that'll just deal like fucking 800,000 damage and kill you no matter what. So when it's your turn to pop, make sure that that magic vuln falls off.
Yeah.
Now the longs are going. So high, Zeph, and then the healers.
Go.
And we did this really fast, honestly. You can kind of see how much time we have left over here by the time we're done with all 8 debuffs. It's a pretty easy mechanic once you understand it, yeah. It's also a good mechanic. I like that a lot. It's a fun one. All right, so the buster goes off. Boss is about 45%. What now I'm thinking about is that my pot's up and my buffs are coming up. So a little bit before my buffs come up, because my pot, lasts 30 seconds and my buffs only last 20, I'm just going to pop my pot early and not worry about having to press it during the middle of my burst. Send out my buffs, do big damage. I see the boss is taking his time to open another energy drink, so I'm not thinking about anything else other than just doing a bunch of fucking damage right now. Bam, 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 bam. All right, so this is an interesting kind of little transition mechanic he does here. He does a bunch of big hits, and then he does a knockback, and then he does pairs. So you can see it says quadra boom here, so we know that it's going to be pairs at the end of this, no matter what he does.
If you have shake for it after the knockback.
I'm kind of sad that he jumps behind me for this mechanic because I wanted to watch him, but I also wanted to really pay attention to Prog, I tried to get my feint on this because all of these hits deal a lot of damage, as you can see. 47k into 41k almost immediately.
Yes. Quadra.
And then after he does that last big hit, he does a big out here, which is what people were just calling for. Every time he did an out.
In.
I greeted that, so what I'm calling for here is help, help, help. Whoops needs help.
Pairs. Knockback into pairs.
Thank you. I'm good.
Knockback.
And then I think we were kind of just operating off the assumption that everybody was going to knockback prevention this. And it wasn't a super big deal if somebody didn't have it either. They would just lose a little bit of uptime. But it's important to, when something like this happens, there's a knockback, and your partner is here, you want to either visually confirm that you see them press arm's length, or you want to ask them if you have the opportunity to. It's even more important if you don't have arm's length to say something.
Pairs.
I saw high press his though, so I just pressed mine immediately and we were good.
Don't leave early. Don't leave early. Don't leave early.
All right, so this one's interesting because it's the chain mechanic again, but the bombs are out on the field at the same time too. So the bombs are gonna go off first. So we're dodging the bombs first, but we're also paying attention to who we get tethered to here. So my order of operations was first find a long tethered bomb or a long fuse bomb that I can stand on in melee range so I can keep hitting the boss. Found it, cool. Now I see who I'm tethered to. I'm tethered to this ad and the middle ad. And what I noticed that is you always get tethered to the middle ad and one of the other ones. But I'm not sure if it's a thing. I was being cognizant of the fact that maybe I could get tethered to both outside ads at the same time. And I still don't know if that's the case, but I was just double checking every time. Which 2 ads am I tethered to?
We'll be dodging bombs in a second.
I see that I'm tethered to those 2. The fuses are ignited. I'm getting ready to move on to a safe spot because the bombs are blowing up.
Dodge.
Boom, move to a safe spot. And remember which ones I'm tethered to. The arms go up now, and the boss is doing his cleave. So the boss is going to do a cleave like this. Kind of like that. So I need to be somewhere in this. And I also need to be in this ad's lariat. But I need to dodge this guy's lariat. So I kind of did it the same way as I did the first one, where I just looked at the one guy I don't want to get hit by. I dodge him by going this way. And then I just make sure I'm inside this lariat and I'm inside the boss's cleave. So like this, probably like here actually. All of this was my zone to stand in. Hopefully that makes sense. So I just went there. Played it safe. I didn't bother trying to get uptime here. I just piercing talon. And then I heard Kyo say 2 was the safe spot. He had the mental capacity to, while he was solving his own mechanic, figure out where the first safe square was going to be, which was evidently 4. And then, well, from the lariats at least. And then the second safe spot was going to be over there. A little fancy. Nice and easy. Everybody cleanse their debuffs and we're good. Okay, so Octo Boom Dive means 8. Spread. His arms are not glowing. That means proximity.
Spread.
That's a forced poison there? Yes, it is. Because you need to get hit by the boss to cleanse the chain from the boss. Spreading. I would always, when it was a spread here, I would always gap close to the boss. And I wouldn't just stand here because I know Zeph is going to be somewhere around here. I always back up and I make sure that he's in a good position first. And then I move in for my melee uptime. That's very important. Brutal impact, so hit a feint. Since it's so late into the fight and we haven't gotten here many times, I'm just reminding my co-melee that I'm feinting there so we don't overlap feints. All right, so this is the mechanic that I was talking about earlier, Fuser Foe. The first time I saw this, I was absolutely certain that there was a really easy way that we can solve this. So what's going to happen here is the boss is going to do a cone like this, and then he's going to pick a direction to spin in. So let's just say this is an example. Then at the same time, 2 corners are going to go like this. They're going to have big AoEs, and then they're going to expand and do all kinds of crazy ring shit and bullshit while the boss is spinning around in a circle. The boss only does like, he spins around like this much, and then he stops here. He doesn't do a full circle. And then we have time, even after that, to get into position before the bombs explode. So some people are going to get short fuses, and some people are going to get long fuses, and it's always opposite rolls, I think, on this one. We actually didn't even see this one too many times, but I assume it works the same way. What I wanted to suggest was that, you know, we have set positions already for where bombs would be safe for ranged and melee. And in case you can't notice, there are lines on the floor, as the meme once said. See this? See all these rings and how big they are? That's the telegraphs for the mechanic that we're doing. That's why they're there. Check this out. Look. Look at where the intersections for all those different dodges are. Literally on the markers we had already on the ground. We did not plan this. But as soon as I saw this, I said, guys, we can literally dodge the spinny that the boss does and then just go to our fucking assigned marker and sidestep every single AoE on the floor and not have to worry about any kind of weird priority for, okay, short fuses are going to go here, here, but they're only going to go there if the boss starts facing this direction. Long fuses are going to go here with a north clockwise priority, blah, 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 or whatever the fuck. No, wait for the boss to do the spinny, find a good time to go, and then go stand on your fucking marker. And then the only dodges you have to do are here, 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 or here. That's it. That's it.
Spinnies first, and then you just go to your marker.
The entire time after the spinning, you can just chill on your marker.
Boss is doing the spinny.
Yes, have the short explosion.
The fuses are not ignited yet, so we're not worried about whoever the fuck has whatever kind of fuse here. We're just dodging. Wait for the boss to do the spinny. He's almost finished. I'm going to cut through here.
On your way mark.
Now, everybody goes their waymark, and as the boss finishes the spinny, the fuses are ignited. So the shorts are about to go off. We have time to get to our markers.
On your way mark.
Everybody's on your waymark.
Dodge again on your way mark.
Fizzy was a little slow there, but you can see in practice, like, it still works. Just dodge on your waymark.
In pairs.
Boom, done.
In pairs.
Easy peasy. Dead fight. It's just that easy. Can you play that back again? Yup. So if you do this strategy that we just did, you don't have to care about if you're a long fuse or a short fuse. It literally doesn't matter. Realistically, I could have stood right here. I could have dodged into the first spinny, and knowing that he doesn't do a full 360, I could have just made sure I was chilling right there. But I made the just in case play to move through. Oops. Didn't mean to take a screenshot. I made the just in case move to move through like that. In reclears, I'm just going to save myself time and just stand right here and then go to my spot.
On your way mark. On your way mark.
Fizzy should have chilled up here more and then moved like this, but Fizzy wanted to be safe, which is totally fine, and went this way to like keep dodging the spinny and then looped back up this way. Because of that, they almost overlapped me, but they made it.
Dodge
Just a latency meme.
again on your way mark. On your way mark. In pairs. In pairs. In pairs.
And then quadruple lariat is glowing hands, so it's in, and then quadro is
In
pairs.
Pairs.
So it just does a repeat of the first mechanic of the fight, but instead of the boss jumping to a corner and doing his little poison cleave, he's gonna jump to a wall and he's gonna do a lariat combo instead. All right,
Immune and sprint.
hitting my arm's length,
Sprint. In the tower.
sprinting to the tower, completely not even worried about my uptime.
Middle.
As we're running to the middle tower, I'm looking for the lariat. I see that he's hitting all of this. Given that I'm a melee and I kind of want to potentially get some uptime, probably can't here realistically. I need to go to the corner. You can't go to the wall because hitting this tower and getting knocked back will send you into the wall, we learned, which is why we reminded it.
Knock to 3. Knock to 3. Middle after. Middle after.
And then we go middle and we're looking for his follow-up lariat, which we saw was this side again. So we go to 2.
Stay. Back to B. Back to B. B.
Can you get the red?
I'm just fucking piercing talon, piercing talon, piercing talon. Nice and safe. Fun fact, I trialed for a group one time before top, I believe. One of the notes that they gave me for why they didn't want to take me was that in a fight that I had never seen before, on like the first few pulls, I pressed piercing talon just a few more times than they would have wanted. And to that I say, hi, I cleared day 1 this tier, and I had 11 piercing talons in my clear pull. I see that you have not cleared the tier yet. Interesting. I hit my pot just because I had it,
We do way too.
but he's like super dead. We killed really early. I actually don't even know what's after that. He takes another doping drought and then, or draft, and then I have no idea what happens after that. He dopes up again and then enrages. Does he just do a bunch of raid wides? He just goes bang, 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 bang. Interesting. That fight is really good. I'm a super big fan of that fight. Oh yeah, I like huge shout out to our 9ths for this fight specifically. They did so much for us during Prog. It was like incredible. They prepped us on like all the mechanics, all the debuffs, what they do. And for like a racing standpoint, like that's a really good idea. It sucks that we were so behind, but like, you know, it's our first tier together as a team. So I think we still did pretty good. And given the situation that we're in, the information we were giving, I think we learned really quick. That being said, we could have killed this fight 5 hours earlier than we did, minimum, maybe even way faster. I'm gonna have to watch all the prog footage. I'm going to at some point. The initial things that I'm thinking of that cost us so much time, not only were just mistakes, obviously dying in this fight is bad and a lot of times would cause the pull to be done entirely. Outside of pulls, we talked a lot in circles about things that were already solved and other teams were already doing consistently. We had this weird balance of like trying to figure out things for ourselves and looking at other teams' strategies for things, especially for the mechanic at the end of phase 1 where like you all have to go to the corner or the side here. on either side and do the debuff dance and stuff. We spent hours contemplating where was the best positions exactly to place everyone. Where should they stand? What should they do? Blah, blah, blah. We spent way too fucking long talking about that. Really, what we should have done was while we were practicing the other mechanics at the beginning and practicing making sure that we were good at witch hunt, because like we knew how to do that, it was just tough. We should have just asked them to just make us a working diagram for each one of the debuff sets for when we have to do that mechanic, and we all should have shut the fuck up and just done it. We should have been like, yup, it works, and just do it and not worry about, well, maybe this would be easier to remember, or maybe this. We're all good enough players to the point where if another team could do it consistently, so can we. I really think we should have gotten through that mechanic specifically way faster. Also, I'm going to mention, I'm going to be a little salty about this. Our strategy for widening and narrow witch hunt was really bad. I said it immediately once we came up with the way that we were going to do it. I thought it was horrible. It was really bad. I very much disliked the fact that we were sending everybody from the C marker to the B marker and then to the A marker. That is so much movement. What we should have done was had everybody in their own position like this, and then just stepping in or out like they had to, or had the whole party right here on C, and then had the baiters be right here, and then the people just go back and forth between these two spots when they have to bait or not. Didn't other groups do that? Yes, that's what almost every other group did. But for some reason, we went like this, and it took so much prog because people were fucking sprinting across the boss in that mechanic. And I didn't like that. I should have put my foot down and said to move the markers here. I think as a member of the team, I should have taken the hit to say, hey guys, no. Like, we will save so much time from a race perspective if we just do something easier, which other teams are doing right now. And the fact that we were like, no, we'll just work on it, it's fine. I should have spoke up a little bit more. I just said I didn't like it to myself, and I mentioned it like one time to the team that I thought it was bad, and then I just kind of relented. At the end of our prog almost, we were on like Enrage prog. One of our ninths mentioned that other teams were doing what I recommended and that we should have done that. And I was just like, that clicked it for me. I was like, fuck, I should have said something. I should have said something, dude. I should have said something, because the amount of wipes that we had to that one mechanic was easily like 2 or 3 hours. That alone, the amount of pulls we could have salvaged if we just never wiped that mechanic, having an easier strat would have been like 2 to 3 hours saved. And then if we would have just like received a working strategy for the side mechanic and then just done it, would have been like another 2 to 3 hours, and then we would have been top 10, I think. But that's probably the only thing I have to say that I myself think I did poorly, because I didn't think of those things in the moment and I only thought of them after prog. Everything else we did as a team and everybody individually was really good. I think we did super good here. Also, yeah, that's a good point, Mav. We had the boss on 5% on the final mechanic of the fight, and we had an LB3 every time. I mentioned it, admittedly kind of jokingly, a few times while we were pulling. I said, hey, we can LB3 that. Either a tank LB or a healer LB. And we could have gotten through that mechanic without having to learn and spend, I don't know, maybe like 2 hours trying to figure out exactly the priorities we want to do for the lasers. If we wanted to truly go for placement, if we would have tank LB'd or a healer LB'd that final laser mechanic, that fight would have been dead 5-6 hours earlier. All those time saves combined, I'd say we were probably on pace for world first, actually. If we had really done all those things differently that I mentioned, I think we probably would have at least top 10. But, you know, that's just things that we have to remember and then take to next tier. Always improving. Always improving. And don't take this the wrong way. We did a really good job this tier. I think we did a fantastic job, and I had a super good time. It's just those are the kinds of things I'm going to be thinking about the next tier I play. What was your final place? I think it was 24th this morning. Maybe more have been reported. There was a lot of clears day one. I think we're world 24th reported and like world like 16th streaming or something like that. So she does the little electrope things here. So the easy way to do this is I just went to this front row here. These little electro things cover half of the squares that they go across like this. So when you guys do this fight, just know that these just cover half the square and they go all the way across. So I saw it was here on the back row of the first square, so I knew I was going to be somewhere in this region where I'm drawing. And then I just got to look for where the wings are and then not be in the way. I knew that she jumps middle here, so like every time on the same GCD after I hit that Lance Barrage, I'd just start running middle because I know she was going to teleport. At this point, I'm staring at the floor. It's kind of hard to tell, but you kind of just look and see which one starts lighting up first. You can see a slight difference. Okay, so you see that? You see the difference between this line and this line? The outside lanes are blowing up first, which means that the team is on the inside first. It's also always been a spread for us, so we're going to spread out. I'm also going to look at my wall to the right here, and I'm going to see where the closest electrope cube is on the wall, and then I'm not going to be in the way of it, using the same knowledge that they're going to take up half a square wherever they hit. So I'm in the middle. I look to the right. I see the patterns that they're in, so I don't really have to look over there because we did it so many times. The other one's right there. It's hitting the bottom half of this square. So I need to be right here. I also knew that there's always one straight down the middle. So with that in mind, like this, I'm standing, you know, right here.
DPS baiting.
Now the middle ones are going to blow up. 4 people randomly got hit with the forked lightnings. Those people can't take the bait because otherwise they'll take 2 instances of damage with the Fizzle and they'll die. So we need to take the next baits, and she's showing us here when the diamonds are separated, that means far bait. So whoever's the 4 furthest players from her are going to take the baits. The people with the Fizzle cannot take the bait. So if the middle's blowing up and everybody needs to be on the outside and the supports cannot be the furthest, that means all DPS need to go to the corners because those are the 4 furthest positions from the boss. Given that my group is going this way, I know that Fizzy is closer to that spread up here and I'm closer to this spread down here, so I immediately run out to the wall.
Far.
I don't even try to hit that. I tried to hit this chaotic spring a few times at the beginning of our prog and I died every single time trying to greet it. Not worth, I said. Not worth. Just fucking throw the piercing talons and then gap goes back in. So next coming up is the narrowing witch hunt. I think this is the hardest mechanic of the whole fight. Super annoying. What's gonna happen here, I'll try to explain this. She's gonna say near bait first, and then she's always gonna do far and then near and then far, or it's gonna be the opposite, far and then near then far. It just flip-flops. But the first one she does is near, so the next one is going to be far, and then the next one is going to be near, and then the last one is gonna be far. F and F! Oh my god! But you get what I'm saying. Also, narrowing or widening means narrowing is in and then widening is out. However you want to try to remember that, that's on you. But narrow in was what I was thinking of, and then wide was, oh my gosh, she's getting wide, so I'm gonna get away. Whoever is baiting here, it doesn't necessarily have to be a certain person. It's just that everybody needs to take 1 bait and 1 bait only. That's how long the vulns last between the 4 sets of baits that she does. And so what we ended up coming up with was healers, tanks, melee, ranged in that order. H, T, M, R. With the knowledge that we have, I know that the first bait here is going to be near, right? So the near gets assigned to the healers. They need to be closest to the boss when it's their turn to bait. The next one is going to be far to the tanks, right? They need to be the furthest away from the boss when it's their turn to bait. Next is going to be near. Coincidentally, it's the same one as the first one because, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they alternate each time. This is exactly what I need to do. In, close. I got kind of lucky that that's the way it worked out. I just looked at the first one and knew that I was going to do the same thing the first one was showing on the 3rd set. And then the last one's far. So I needed to be the closest person to the boss on the 3rd set of baits. And I know that that's going to be in when it's that time. So I know that on the 3rd set, I'm standing right here, in and closest to the boss. The party needs to do the opposite of whatever the bait is. So the party on the first one needs to be the furthest from the boss. Since this is an in at the same time, the party needs to stand on the marker was what we came up with, on the marker. And in. And the first people need to be standing right here, the healer, because they need to be the closest. The second part of this, when it goes off, is going to be an out. So this is bad. It's going to be an out because she always alternates. And it's going to be far. So the tanks need to be the furthest out again. And because of just how the way that this works, the party is on the marker. So you'll hear people call party on the marker, tanks off for the second set. So the party's standing right here on the marker, just out. And then the first one happens again, the first variation where it's in and then near, and that's my turn to go there. Take that same logic through the entire mechanic. Remember when it's your turn to bait and where you need to be standing, and then be in the correct spot. Is closest always an in, or can it be in/furthest? It can be in/furthest. So in the event that, let's say this is not narrowing and it's wide instead, wide. The first one she's going to do it is an out, but she can still do close. So that means that the first baiters need to be standing on the marker. Get it? and then the party's off the marker. They're like way the fuck over here, right? This one sucks for melee, by the way. And thinking about how we did this strategy too, by the way, when that would happen, I would have to break uptime so I don't get hit by the first out. I would then have to run the fuck all the way out here, and then I would have to gap close here, and then I would have to gap close over there, all while in a 60-second burst window. It can work with some practice, but it's definitely not the best way to do this mechanic. All that considered, write that down. I'll just play it out and show you guys how it works. There were a few pulls where I really cooked there and I kept full uptime, and there were a few pulls where I was just like, hey, fuck it, I'm struggling to remember exactly where I need to be for each step right now, so I'm just gonna Piercing Talon and try my best. So narrowing Witch Hunt, I know that I'm the third set, so this combination is me on the third set.
In,
Closest in.
Party on.
And it always alternates the near far or far near far near.
Party on, party on.
Party on. So faders off. Tanks off, party on. Tanks off, party on.
Party on.
Melee off.
It's my turn. I'm closest. And then I need to go really far out.
Oh, party on.
Throw the Piercing Talon. And as you can see, even on our clear pull,
Party on.
we had some people struggling. It needed to be party on here,
Party on.
but Zeph was not supposed to be here because somebody else needs to bait right now.
Oh, party on.
Luckily for us, our final range players were going really far out. All right, this time we're counting cubes. And what we mean by that is the boss is going to shoot diagonally at all the cubes in the corners. There's one in each inner cardinal. She's going to shoot 2 of them twice, and then she's going to shoot 1 of them or 2 of them once. So 2 get hit twice and 2 get hit once. It's random what they are. And the way that we handled this was we had our spread positions. The DPS would then rotate clockwise, so they'd be out of the way of the lasers. The lasers don't hurt that much when they go through to charge the cubes, but we just wanted to try to avoid that as much as possible, you know, take as little damage as possible. We would then, as the C marker pair, watch what was the 3 corner. We moved the markers, but we just remember this as the 3 corner. This is where the 3 marker was. We would only be responsible, me and High, for watching this corner. If it only got hit 1 time, meaning it was safe, we would call out our corner. Because what happens is she's charging these electro cubes. Every time one of these gets charged, it's going to go like this. So this is 1 charge for what this laser is going to blow up as, or cube is going to blow up as. That's if it gets hit once. If it gets hit twice, it's going to expand out 1 more, like Titan weighted Earths, if you remember. So if it gets hit twice, it's going to go 2 squares from it, which means that all of these are also going to be hit by that same cube. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, for example, hypothetically, it doesn't get shot 3 times. But if it did get shot a 3rd time, it would then go 1, 2, 3 squares out. And it would shoot this much. Does that make sense? So what's going to happen is she's going to shoot 2 of the corners twice. So let's say she just shoots both of the north corners twice. So this one's going to blow up like this because it goes 2 out from where it originates. This one's also going to blow up twice because, you know, it got hit twice, so it's blowing up 2 squares from the corner where it originates, wherever the cube is. And then this one gets shot once, so only this square back here is going to get hit. And then this one also gets shot once, so only this square is going to get hit. That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 safe tiles. Those tiles are not going to be hit by the electro squares. At that time, the boss is going to be facing north after all this happens, and she's going to decide 1 half of the room to cleave. If she cleaves this half, for example, all of that is bad, and 4, 5, and 6 are safe now. Then, during that cleave, she is also going to tell you pairs or spread. And then you either need to have the melee DPS stand here, 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 and here. Well, the melee's in the tanks. And then your ranged fuck off like that. Or you match up for partners in good spots. So it's either just going to be pairs or spread. So you can watch the whole thing go off here.
Pay attention.
So I watched my corner. Only got hit once. It got hit twice, so I don't call out mine.
4 and 2.
4 and 2 are the ones that got called for only being hit once. So we're watching the 4 and the 2 corner, which for us is northeast and southwest. We see that the boss is cleaving this side. So all that over there is unsafe. And we already know that 1 got hit twice, so it's going to blow up like this. Which means that our safe squares are these 3. 1, 2, and 3.
Southwest spread.
And then we see sideways spark means spread. Well, actually, it's the however many orbs she has floating up around her. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I just didn't really pay too much attention to whether or not it was spread or stack because no matter what, I was always in the same spot. First off. Second off, Nuber and Kyo always called it out. So that was just something that I was able to mentally free up for myself because it didn't really matter too much for me. Wicked Jolt is just Thinkbuster. And then we're all going to spread out to Proteans here. And now, instead of the boss placing those electro squares and then charging them like this by hitting them with like cleaves, she's going to put an electro square on top of each player instead. And then she's going to shoot the players. She's going to charge the players. So we're all spreading out so we don't hit each other with the charges, the little cleaves that she sends out at us. I don't know if it fucks it up. I think it probably does. If we were to stack here and then she were to shoot at me and then like hit high because I was standing on top of high, I think that would also charge high, which would cause problems. So yeah. She also sets down a new grid, by the way. So this new grid is down and we as players need to find out how much we're going to explode and then where we're going to stand to not hit each other. So just like the previous mechanic, a player charged with 1, for example, if they stood in this tile right here, if they only got hit 1 time, would just blow up this tile with lightning. If a player got hit twice, they got charged twice, they would blow up this tile and then 1 more adjacent tile in every direction. So this one, this one, this one over here, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. That's how big the 2 explosion is. And then also in this mechanic, players can get 3 charges, and that would go like this. 3 out, like that. Takes up a lot of space. That's why she gives you more squares here. Blue Titan Bomb, yeah, basically. So we're watching how many we get charged with here. It's also important to note that there's 2 different sets. What I mean by that is there's a long debuff and a short debuff. One of these lasts, I think when they spawn, it's 20 seconds and 40 seconds. Let me make sure. Yeah, 20 seconds and 40 seconds roughly. So I know that I'm a long. And because of something that happens later in between the sets, I know that as a long, every single one of these effectively starts at +1 charge. I'll get to that later, but if you have a long here, you can automatically, when you're standing in this spread here, just start at 1 when you're counting for yourself how many times you get hit. So I'm long, so in my head right now, already, I'm thinking 1. Everybody's in their spread spots, and I'm looking only at myself. I get hit 1 more time, so I'm 2. In my head, I'm counting 2. All right, I'm a DPS, and I got hit with effectively 2. I only got hit once, but I'm a long, and I'll get to that again later. But in my head, I'm thinking 2. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 2 on second set. Funny enough, I think Fizzy wasn't paying attention to how many times they got hit, so they asked because of how it divvies out DPS and support charge counts. Fizzy asks.
Their DPS with 2 for second set.
Their DPS with 2 for the second set. Because Fizzy knows that they are in the second set because of how long their timer is, but they're not sure if they're a 2 or a 3. So they asked if anyone else was a 2 in the second set, and I said me. And then Fizzy goes, okay, got it. That means that Fizzy's 3.
Okay, thank you.
I know that I'm going off in the second set, and the way that we solved this was, let me paint diagram this. I don't know exactly how many squares there were. I think it was like this. Not perfect, but this is what it ended up looking like, basically. The boss does the same picture, basically every time, of squares that nobody can stand on because they're already gonna blow up. And it looks like this. She makes it's like this. So we came up with a priority for the DPS. This is the safe spot. So I'm gonna put an S here. This is safe for when it's not your turn to blow up yet. The DPS would look out towards the T and they would go left. So DPS would go this direction. The supports, meaning the tanks and the healers, would go the other way, right, looking out at the T. And that would solve it every time. But the positions that we go to specifically for each charge is 3s always have to go to this corner all the way out. And then 2s would go here. 2. And sometimes you'll also get a 1. So we also put the 1s here because that works as well. So if you're a 1 or a 2, you go to those squares. 1 or 2 go to the green squares, I'll call them. And then the 3s go to the red squares. And the party goes to the safe blue square. And that's how it resolves every time. Because if you think about it, red will blow up 1, 2, 3 in every direction, right? 1, 2, 3 in this direction. They'd overlap in the middle there. And then the greens would blow up either 1 or 2. So it was either just 1 where they're currently at, or it'd be 2 like this. And as you can see, that resolves all the explosions because there's only 4 explosions in each set, and then the party on the safe square there. That's how that's resolved. Very cool mechanic. Yeah. So this is the reason why whenever you're along, you can always start as +1 mentally. Because every single time after the first set, she's going to do a half room cleave and she's going to do a spread or a stack. This spread or stack will always target the 4 players with the long debuff. And when they get hit with that spread or stack, that adds a charge to them. That's why, as a long at the very beginning of the mechanic, knowing that this part exists, you can always add +1 to yourself right from the start. And then just do this mechanic without thinking about charging yourself. So it's spread, and we're on the safe half of the arena. I'm spreading. I get charged there because I get hit with the spread. So I know that I'm 2, and if I was standing in the safe square, I know that my safe spot is right here. The 3 is going over here, but DPS looking out of the T from the safe spot goes this way. I'm a 2.
Alpha safe.
I get my last GCD. I throw a piercing talon. I watch my debuff for when it's going to expire, and then I go back in. That's how I knew when to gap close. This debuff right here, as soon as it goes away, I knew that the damage snapshots, and then I could gap close back to the boss. Zeph pulls the boss north because she's about to jump north with this next mechanic. At this point, the party gets split half and half between blue or gold for colors. That comes into play for the next mechanic. When she does the back and forth cannon, when she's on the side, you need to just be on the opposite color side. Also, yeah, I got a Giga shield here every time so I can stay in for as long as possible and keep hitting the boss. Otherwise, I'd have to throw like 5 piercing talons instead of 3. I was thinking about squeezing in that last GCD, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Throwing piercing talons, I'm blue. I see my debuff as blue. It's also visually on my character. It's kind of hard to see on my character, but I see I'm blue. So I'm right away looking for the gold side. All right. I see the gold cannon over here, so that I know I'm on this side. So I'm going over here. These cannon shots, by the way, are wild charges. And what I mean by that, a wild charge means the first person in line for that AoE stack in that line is going to get hit with a bunch of damage, which is more often than not completed by the tank being in front. So we would have the tanks just be right here near the middle, in front of everyone else who's on that side, and then the 3 players would stand behind them back here. Now, the rest of this mechanic gets a little fucky. Initially going into this stream today, I thought I wasn't going to explain everything, but I feel like I probably should now at this point because of how hard I just over-explained the previous thing. It'll help me understand it more too, so let's go through it together. Go on the opposite color side. And then right away, even a little bit before that cannon goes off, everybody gets another debuff here. So check this out. There are 2 variations of this mechanic. You get hit with the laser and it removes 1 stack from you. You need to remove all 3 stacks to live. So that means just surviving till the next laser hit. But in between the laser hits, you have to resolve these debuffs right here. These second ones that we get. 4 players will get either a small spread on themselves, which is what this one means, or they will get a dynamo. And what I mean by a dynamo is it makes a giant donut-shaped AoE around your character. This one is just a small AoE under your character. So, like, if this was my hitbox as a player, this AoE would hit, like, maybe like this big. It's really small. It's just making sure that you're not standing on top of anyone else. There's a very similar one looking to this, and we'll probably get it later in this mechanic. The donut-shaped one looks exactly like this. It's blue on the inside, and then it's got a much bigger like donut, but it's blue instead of this tiny little circle. There's a difference. See that? The spreads on our arena, I actually have, where's the Miro for this? Because our 9th made really good diagrams for this, and I might as well just steal them. So there's all the debuffs. This is what they look like. So whenever we would get hit with the laser, 4 people of that color would be these 4 debuffs. So this would be a blue, a blue, a blue, a blue, and then these would be the gold debuff guys. Gold, 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 gold. There's no weird, like, after you get these debuffs, you need to cross over to the other side, if that makes sense. You get one of these debuffs, and you'll resolve the mechanic. Don't even worry about the other side. Just do it on your side, whatever you get, if that makes sense. As the blue, with, you know, this debuff or whatever side you're on, you're just going to resolve it on your side. So you just, like, let's say you took your laser on this left side of the arena over here. You took it over here. You're doing your mechanic on that same side, no matter what you get. So The first things to handle are either the dynamo or the small player spreads. And literally all you do, if you're dynamo, you just go to the middle of the room. You go to the middle of the room, you're done. So you don't hit anyone else. If you're that tiny little spread around yourself, you stand in a little box formation towards the gap on the edge, just like this, just like the picture shows. And we just basically had DPS stand closer to the edge here, and we had the support stand closer to the middle of the room, just to make sure we weren't on top of each other. Again, this spread is really small. The next thing that comes out that you can see is these pair buffs. There's this one and there's this one. These are a little confusing. Think of these, the green and the blue guys debuffs, as that means I'm gonna shoot a laser. The blue one means I'm gonna shoot a laser at the closest person to me, and the green one means I'm gonna shoot a laser at the furthest person from me. This works with these bombs, we call them. See these big purple ones? The big purple circle means I'm gonna blow up unless I get hit by this beam that's shot out by the pair guys. So for the close one, this one, the blue one, you want to stand right next to a bomb guy, so you shoot them with the cleave like this. When you do that, when they get hit by that cleave, the bomb debuff gets cleansed and it goes away for both different kinds of pair guys. So this guy's going to shoot this way and hit the furthest guy. This guy's going to shoot this way and hit the furthest guy. It's okay if you hit somebody else with that cleave. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but this person, the purple guy, has to get hit by it. Hopefully that makes sense, but if you do everything I just described and you stand in these exact spots on your side for whatever color you get hit and resolve just like these diagrams I show here, you're good. All that happens is you get hit by your color of the cannon, you look at your debuff bar, you see what you got, and then you just go to that spot like the diagram. And because of everything I just explained about how each one of those works, it just resolves. The bombs get removed, which doesn't blow up, and then everybody lives. These debuffs just go away after they shoot off, and then everybody's just left with just their colors left. And then it happens 2 more times after the first time. There's 3 sets, so you need to get hit by the correct color 3 times, and then you need to identify your debuff and go to the correct position 3 times. So you can watch it all happen from front to back. Now that I've explained that, this might make a little more sense to you. I'll pause whenever I get a debuff and show you what I'm thinking and where I'm going to go stand. Are the debuffs random, or will they always be paired with what that picture showed? They'll always be paired, yeah. They're paired in the sense that, okay, so you see this really quick? Hold on. They're not random in the way that you think, but they are kind of random in a different sense. I'm blue, Zeph is blue, Theo is blue, and Fizzy is blue. That's a light party right there. It selects a light party for each color. High, the tank, is blue or gold. Keo is gold, and then there's 2 gold DPS. Between the blues, between the 4 blue players, there's always going to be 1 bomb guy, 1 pair guy, and then 2 either dynamos or spreads. Does that make sense? There's always going to be 1 of each of these, and then 2 matching of either the spreads or the donuts. So what you do, like I just explained, you never cross over to the other side. You just follow the diagram for whatever side you're on, because there's always going to be 1 of each debuff on each side. I'm blue. I need to stand on the gold laser side. I see the gold lasers right here, so I'm going to go stand over here, and I'm not going to be in front because it's a wild charge, and my tanks are going to get hit really hard.
Opposite of what you have.
And I don't want to get hit really hard because I'll fucking die.
Tank's supposed to look at the wall.
As soon as the debuff comes out, I'm only looking at mine. I am a spread marker, so I know immediately I'm not crossing to this side. That makes no sense. I'm solving for my side. I'm a DPS. I'm a spread marker. I'm going to go right here. That's it. Right there. That's my spot.
Spread far,
Go.
spread far, spread far, spread.
Everyone else is looking at their own individual debuffs. They're following the diagram that we made. This guy, this pair guy, is going to shoot his cleave this way and cleanse Fizzy. And this guy is going to shoot his cleave this way and shoot Keo, who is the bombs. Everyone else is just spreading like this. We'll play it back. And then all the debuffs just resolve all at once.
Spread far, spread far.
Whoop. All right, and now we're looking at our colors again. All the debuffs resolved. We're looking at our colors again. I'm still blue. You never change in the middle of it. So I'm looking for the gold side. Okay, it flipped. Gold side's over here, so I'm moving over here. I need to stand over here, and I need to not be in front still. It's still a wild charge. I'm staring at my debuff bar. I get the same thing again. I'm a spread marker. I'm not crossing to this side because that makes no sense. I'm solving for my side. I'm going to stand right here. That's my spot because I'm a spread marker, and I'm a DPS.
Spread far, spread
Whoop.
far, spread far.
Same thing. All the debuffs resolve. I'm looking one more time to see. The gold's on the same side, so I'm staying over here. I'm not moving. I'm just making sure I'm not in front.
Stay.
Staring at my debuff bar. I'm a bomb this time. This is the different one too. So when I'm a bomb, I need to check if it's the close buddies or if it's the far buddies. The close buddies is blue. The far buddies is green. So as soon as I see that I'm a bomb, I'm like, okay, what is it? Is it close or far? I see the first one I see on the party list is Zeph. It's blue. That means close. That means I know he's going to be standing right here and I need to be the closest player to him. So I'm going to stand right here. I'm going to move my camera and top down and I'm going to look for him.
Dynamo close, Dynamo close, close Dynamo, close Dynamo.
I look for him moving into the position, which we all agreed would be like right here for both sides. And I'm going to get as close to him as I can while also being in the Dynamo. All the 4 players right now that have the donut AoE are standing right there and they're going to blow up and this ring is going to be safe. And I'm also the closest player to Zeph, so I'm diffusing my bomb. And that's it. I'll play that one more time from the beginning. That's the hardest to understand mechanic initially, but once you know like your group strategy for where you're standing for each thing, it's super, super simple. I'll play it without pausing.
Opposite of what you have. Things supposed to look at the wall.
Staring at my debuff. I'm spread. I move to the spread position on my side.
Spread far.
All right, I'm still blue. I'm looking for the gold cannon. All right, I'm swapping sides. I'm staring at my debuff bar for what I get. I'm a spread. I'm going to my spread position.
Spread far.
I'm still blue, so I'm looking at the gold side. Don't need to swap. It's still the same side. Staring at my debuff bar. I'm a bomb. Okay. Is it close? It's close. I'm finding my buddy. I'm close. Boom. Are you able to get far for Dynamo? Nope. If it's the spread markers and far, it's always like it's only those 2 patterns. You can't get far with Dynamo. And you can't get close with spread. It's always just those 2. All right, so the boss always faces south here. So we put our melees on the north side of the arena. So we just did, you want to have in each quadrant 1 melee player and 1 ranged player, because you want 1 person to be far out in that quadrant and you want 1 person to be close, which you'll see why. So she's gonna start doing a bunch of raid wides here, and then she's also gonna do cones like this. The safe spots, keep in mind, the safe spots are smaller than the spots that actually get hit. The get hit spots are way bigger than the safe spots.
Playing safe here.
Okay, so when this goes off, remember that you need to step into every single cleave that happens because she alternates. The safe spots become hit and the hit spots become safe. So you need to go back and forth. And we'd have, my group was in this quadrant, right? Me and Theo. We would always either go from right here to right here. And Theo would always go from right here to right here. And we're spread out because on the 4th set of these cones, 4 players in the entire party are going to get hit by a big spread AoE. And then they're also going to be targeted with a giant laser from the boss, which I'll explain and show you in just a second. But just know that's you have to dodge in a quadrant between the same 2 spots because you don't want to overlap with a different group because you 2 need to do something in your own quadrant. Step into the center of these lines because the safe spots are smaller than they are hit, if that makes sense. Always stepping in between. After the 4th set of cones, 1 roll is going to get hit with AoEs. So DPS all just got hit with AoEs there. Me, Noober, Fizzy, and Happy all got hit. On the next set of cones that come out, the cones are still happening. On the next set of cones that come out, she's going to shoot a giant, big-ass fucking laser at every single person that just got hit with these circle AoEs. If they're the first ones in line of that laser, they'll die because we have a 5-second magic vuln. So what needs to happen is the buddy in whatever pair it is needs to block for them. So since I just got hit, I know that I need to dodge into the safe spot now. Theo needs to step in front of me to block so I don't die to my magic vuln being hit on me. And I need to still keep walking back and forth between the spots. It could happen that Theo gets hit and then we're just going back and forth regardless, because I'm always going to be in front if we keep it like this. But in this example, since I'm the melee DPS and I got hit, I need to go back so that Theo can come forward because the lasers are really big. And if the people to block the lasers go in too close like this, they'll get hit by 2 because they're like this fucking big from each one, if that makes sense. So they need to be like out here to block ish, at least. So Theo comes in, blocks for me. At the same time, it's really hard to tell, but more cleaves are happening. So as soon as the block comes out, we're also calling to move. And since he already blocked for me, I know I can go in close. So I go here so I can keep hitting the boss.
Move. One more.
I'll play the second set because she resets here and then you do the same thing again. I'm not going to pause this time just so you can see how fast it is. Move. Move. This is a good pot window. Move. Always moving. Every single time. Move, move, move. Here come the AoEs. I got hit again. Theo has to block for me.
One more. Move.
Always moving, even during the block. And then this is when the boss is going to knock you back to the arena behind you, to the south. Initially, we thought that this does too much damage for you to be max melee. I'm actually not even entirely certain that this is proximity. I think you just need to be in the correct spot to get knocked in the right direction. You might even... I actually don't even know if that's true. It might just knock you to the correct platform regardless, but I don't know. We never tested standing in weird spots because we didn't need to. We just stood on C, and it just works. We were told to stand on C by our 9th, so I assume if you're in the wrong spot, you can miss the platform. All right. Then after that, boom. We get knocked back. Then you have a little bit of downtime here. I was surprised how long it took you to say it sounds like it's straight out of My Hero Academia. It for real does, though. It's crazy. It sounds like a My Hero song. All right. In hindsight, I did it for alignment purposes, just to keep my high jump like aligned with my buffs. My power surge wasn't up here. I probably, especially now since high jump isn't tied to getting eyes for your life window, I probably could have waited an extra GCD just to give high jump a little bit more effective potency by having my power surge up. Very small thing, but something important to keep in mind. This, at least for right now, is a required tank LB3 cross tail switch, and you need to do it at the end of the cast bar. This shit hurts like a bitch, dude. We still almost die through tank LB3. Get in your safe spot. So we know that the next mechanic is going to be the Exaflare bullshit. It looks very daunting, but when the markers come out, I'll explain it to you and you'll go, oh, that's actually really easy. I promise. Here come all of these, all right? There's a few rules that you need to remember. These middle lanes don't fucking matter. The two middle lanes don't matter at all. Don't even look at those. Doesn't matter. Every time, depending on the group you're in probably, they're going to make you stand right here or right here. You see how those are never covered? Same thing on the other side. Those spots are safe. What you're going to do is you're going to look across the arena from your safe spot. So my safe spot is right here with my light party because there's going to be a stack happening at the same time. You can't dodge individually. I'm starting right here and I'm looking all the way across. That's why I say look across. You notice how on the far side, there's only one Exaflare going away from us on that side. This one, it's going away from us. These ones are coming towards us, which means that this is bad, and the far back is bad. This is going to be safe. So all you do is just look for whatever one on the opposite side isn't coming towards you and then just go to that lane. Because these ones in front of you, like right next to you, don't matter. The middle ones also don't matter. This one's leaving after a single hit. Bye-bye, it's gone. Don't have to worry about that one after the first hit. This one's going to the other side, so bye-bye, that one's gone. Don't have to worry about that at all. This one's going to the other side, bye-bye. And I don't even give a fuck about that one because it's not coming towards us. All I'm doing is I'm standing right here and I'm looking across. 3 of them are coming towards me, always. And 1 of them is going away. All I got to do is go, hey, that one's going away, so 2 back. And then we stand right here and take the stack together as a light party. It's literally just a boo mechanic. Like, gotcha! It's supposed to be scary, but it's actually very simple when you understand the rules of how they spawn. If they were more random than that, then it would really be difficult to get every time. But knowing those rules that I just explained, it's actually very simple. So I'll do it without pausing. Look across. Stand in the safe spot.
2 back on the right. 2 back.
That's all it takes. I just see that that's the lane. 2 back. So we're moving together. We're in the safe spot. Fizzy was a little slow.
Stay out.
After that, she's going to do a Wicked Special. There's 2 different kinds of Wicked Specials. You guys remember Endsinger EX? Where she'll either come forward and she'll have a breath-looking charge up, or she'll have the tears. Basically the same thing. This boss will either have a giant flame sword, which will hit the middle like this, or she'll have 2 laser beams on each like arm kind of, and they'll hit like this, and then over there. It's actually kind of a small safe spot in the middle. It's like suspiciously small, like way smaller than you think, but this is out. Flame Sword is out. Mustard Bomb is a spread mechanic with 2 Tank Buster tethers. So what we did was we just put 1 light party on each side. One light party 1 is there, light party 2 is here. But the healers stand here, the melee stand here, the range stand back here, and then the tanks go up front with their tethers. Spread out, mitigation. The tanks get hit with their tethers, and then what would it be? Technically, 4 other players will get hit with spread AoEs. The 2 players that do not get hit by anything in this mechanic need to go forward and take a bomb off of the tanks. This tether does a bunch of damage to them, makes them explode, and also gives them a ticking time bomb, which passes when you touch someone else. Everyone else gets hit by something and have a magic vuln, so they can't take it. But 2 people, conveniently enough, will be able to take it because they didn't get hit by an explosion. So I look out over the party here. See how Theo didn't get hit here? Ding! He's all good. So Theo didn't get hit, so he doesn't have a fire vuln like everyone else. Also, Nuber didn't get hit. So these 2 are going to go to the tanks. They're going to touch them. They're going to take the bomb off of them. And then they're going to stand in the same spot and blow up.
Theo Nuber.
Keo thought he wasn't hit for some reason. So he tried to go take it. But then he was like, oh yeah, it's not me. It's not me.
Wait.
You're not a part of
Oh,
the
it's
kill,
not
you're
me. It's
part
not
of
me. It's not me. Yeah, sorry.
Then they blow up. That's the bomb blowing up. All right. Ethereal conversion. So the boss is going to charge up both sides, both arms, and it's always going to be fire or water. It's always 2 fire or 2 water. It can't be 1 fire and 1 water. At least in all the pulls we did, it was never 1 of each. It was always 2 of the same color. But she does one side first, then the other side. That's random. So in this case, she's charging up fire, and she's doing her left arm first, which means she's going to... You see these little dots right here? It's kind of hard to see, but there's these specific red lights on the arena right there, and that's where she's going to slam down that arm. When she slams down that arm, if it's fire, she's always going to hit her left arm to this one, like that. When it's fire, it's a big circle AoE that you can't be in. That's it. See that? It's kind of like boobies. So you just need to look at what side she hits first. So if she hits this one, for example, like she's going to, we're going to stand up here in the safe spot. And then we know that she's going to hit this one afterwards. So after that's safe, we just walk here and dodge this, and we'll be safe. That's it. And then if it's water, it's a knockback instead from this. So if she was doing left water first, like this, her left arm, technically the right side of the arena, we would stand right here and we would get knocked all the way over here. It will take you like almost off the edge, and then you have to readjust and then get knocked back this way. But I'll just let it play out in full. It's kind of a simple mechanic.
Fire go left.
All right, so we're dodging the fire. Simply just slam, walk into the safe spot.
She's using electrode to convert her body to heat.
Later on in this phase, rather than doing tail thrust, which is like spending what she just charged up, the fire or the water, she'll save that attack that she does, and she'll do tail thrust like way later. So you kind of just gotta saving this for later. Remember this for later. But for the first one, she does it immediately. All right, so tail thrust, she's releasing her arm charges. So fire, and then fire. Dodge the second fire. Boom. 2-minute buffs. Azure Thunder. It's a raid wide, and she also turns the arena into a big circle. So now the outside's a death wall. This first one, what's going to happen is she's going to spawn clones on the outside of the arena, and each one of them is going to be doing a half arena cleave from wherever they are standing. And right before those go off, every single player is going to get a baited floor AoE underneath their feet. So what we're going to do as a party is stand in the exact center of the room. We're going to look for the clones spawning. There's always going to be one on the north and south first. That's the one I look at first, just to get a head start. So everyone's standing in the middle of the room, and we are not moving until we see the floor AoE under our feet. All right, here come the ads. We need to look at which ones spawn first. It looks like it's going to be, just from the speed at which they're coming down, this one and this one. The really simple way to solve this is to look at whatever one is north or south and quickly check what direction are they hitting. If you answered this side, you are correct, meaning that the right side of the room is going to be safe. Only half of it, but we can start with that. So I know that I'm going to be running this direction. It's going to be 2 or 3, these markers here. I'm waiting for the floor AoE under my feet. And then at this point, if I hadn't already had the time to check, okay, I know it's the right side of the room. I can check this one, but you can also do it last minute as you're running out of the floor AoE. Look to the one that's on east or west next, and then see if you need to go up or down. So I would wait for the floor AoE, know that this guy is hitting over here, and I go, oh shit, I need to go this way. And then as I'm exiting the floor AoE, I can look back at the other ad that is hitting. It could either be east or west, and I see that it's hitting the south. So I know that 2 is the safe spot. That's where I need to go. And you have all this time to figure it out while you're waiting for the floor AoE. There's the north ad. It could be the south ad, but it's the north this time. I'm running right. After the floor AoE, I'm checking the east or west ad next, and I'm seeing if I'm going up or down. I'm going up. So right and up is the 2 marker.
Go middle.
We go middle, and we look for the Wicked Special. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the laser one. So she's going to hit the sides. So she's going to make this a safe spot in the middle. And then at this point, you also need to check the second set of ads that spawn and see what part they're cleaving. They're only going to give you 1 quadrant, and you need to do the Wicked Special at the same time. Admittedly, I think on this pull, I forgot to check where these ones were hitting. But luckily for me, my team's a gamer collectively, and they just called it out. Specifically Nuber, I think. He called out which quadrant was safe, and then I just went there and I dodged the Wicked Special.
2.
As I was running over here, I saw that the north half was going to be safe, so I just knew I could stay north, but I didn't check the south one. Forgot.
Go middle. 1.
And then I think I saw, out of the corner of my eye, I saw that this ad was hitting this way, so process of elimination 1 is safe.
One middle.
And then Wicked Special, get in the middle. There we go. All right, next coming up, she's going to spawn ads on every cardinal and every inner cardinal. The order at which they spawn is random. Each ad can be either a wings Wicked Thunder or a gun Wicked Thunder. If something spawns with wings, let's say that a wing ad spawns on the intercardinals in this example, all the intercardinals will be wings. They can't be mixed between, you know, like if one intercardinal is something, all the other intercardinals are the same thing, if that makes sense. For example, if you see a cardinal ad spawn and it has a gun, you don't even have to check the other cardinals. All the other cardinals are a gun as well. Wings make a donut AoE in front of wherever they spawn when it's their turn to go off, making wherever they are safe. Guns, on the other hand, will shoot a laser straight across the arena wherever they are, making where they are not safe. So, given that all 8 of these are spawning at once, you need to see first, are cardinals spawning first or are intercardinals spawning first? That's the checklist. Let's just say intercardinals are spawning first. What is the intercardinal? Oh, it's a gun. Okay, that means that intercardinals for the first set are unsafe. So I'm going to a cardinal. Then at the same time, the boss is going to give you either stack or spread. So you need to be with a buddy in each one of those safe spots first and do stack or spread. So let's see what this example is.
Take further, DPS are going clockwise.
Me and Zeph were always guaranteed to be in these 2 spots in whatever order. Nuber and High were these 2 spots for every whatever order. And then the range were doing fucking the same thing over there. But that's how we decided where we're going to go. If it's intercardinal safe first, me and Zeph go there. If it's cardinal safe here, me and Zeph go here. So I'm only looking at these 2 spots in all honesty. I'm not looking anywhere else. All right.
Watch what's landing first.
All right. So I see that what's landing first is the cardinals. And I immediately see that it's a gun. She has the cannon in her hand. So that means inner cardinals are safe first. It's also concentrated burst, which means stack. Those things all added up mean me and Zeph stand right here and we stack.
Stack first.
Stack
Off we go.
Stack intercard.
As we're in that spot, we're looking at what the inner cards are, or whatever the second spawning set of ads are. So the cardinals spawn first. That means that the inner cardinals are spawning second. It's also a gun, which means that all the other inner cardinals are a gun, which means for the second set, the cardinals are safe. I know this sounds crazy. You might have to listen to that a few more times if you're trying to learn this mechanic. But there's so many different variations for how this would work, and we didn't even get wings on this one. But it's always going to be cardinals safe, then inner cardinals, or the opposite. And then it's either going to be stack first and then spread, or the opposite. So in this case, it's intercardinal stack into cardinal spread. And we had the rule for DPS always move further. So whatever direction we need to move to second, the DPS always goes further if it's stack. Restart that so you guys can see if you're trying to follow along.
First. Cardinals landing first.
Stack first.
Stack intercard. Stack intercard.
Stacking?
Spreading, rotating. Rotate, spread.
I'm going further because I'm the DPS. Boom.
Sides. sides.
And then there's a wicked special right at the end, and we saw that she had the big fire sword, so that's sides. There's the boss. Sides.
Sides. Get out of the middle. Sides.
Can it be stay enter if it's wings and guns? Yes, it could be double cardinal safe or double inner cardinal safe. Yeah, but it's always stack and then spread, or spread and then stack. But you could stay on the same inner cardinal twice or the same cardinal twice. It's kind of fucky.
Stock and then happy lasers.
I was really trying to get Happy X mechanic into the clear VOD, and we ended up clearing on this one because I want everybody to call it Happy Lasers and then play Mr. Happy for the strat.
Stock and then happy lasers.
Okay, so she's stocking up right now, water, and it's going to be knockback from the right side first. So this is going to happen first, and then after, this is going to happen. So we're just remembering that for later. It's not happening immediately. Saving that.
It's going to be light parties.
Water go right was the call for that for us. So now this next mechanic that's happening, like Leviathan, she just gets rid of the middle of the arena and you have to split left and right. I don't think you have to do light parties here. That's just what we ended up doing. And then pretty quickly after, really quickly after, actually, 4 towers are going to spawn on each side. You need to have 1 player in each. So you need to split perfectly 4 and 4, whatever you want to do. I don't think there's a reason why you have to do light parties, but I'd recommend it anyways. Everybody needs to stand on one of their towers. I'd recommend going there before they even spawn. What we did was tank, melee, healer, and then ranged for each group. And then what's going to happen here is there's going to be a series of exploding swords on your side, and you need to stand on the only safe sword each time.
That is text.
It'll be easier when you see it. So here come the towers. She launches swords down onto the arena. That's what the tower is. And then she's going to take turns charging the left and then the right, and then the left and then the right, and then the left and then the right, or the opposite, right and then the left, right and then the left, right and then the left. And every time she's going to charge only 3 of the swords. So check this out. She's charging the right side first. It doesn't really matter what side gets charged first. They all go off. But you can see she's only charging 3 on our side. So 2, what we're calling this, if we go backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 is safe first. So what we were doing, since we had 2 different sides which needed to follow this light party over here, light party 1, was typing in chat the order of the safe swords. They weren't listening to us. I was only talking to our side. So 2, you see the arrows pointing across to their side like this. Their safe one in this order is 1. So they're typing right now 1. But ours on our side, only that's all we have to worry about is 2. So 2, 3. They're keeping track. 1,
4.
And then it always makes each one safe 1 time. So as soon as that 3rd one got hit, I knew what the last one was. 2, 3, 1, 4 is the safe order. And these sword AoEs are kind of big. They're kind of scary like that. So you kind of want to stand on the side whenever you're in a safe spot.
2, 3, 1, 4.
You can stand in the middle, but it's a really small spot. So
On the side.
just recommend going to the sides.
3,
2, 3,
1.
1, and then we're going all the way to 4.
Sprint, go all the way back.
You don't have to sprint here, but it's highly recommended because it's kind of fast.
Prog outpost is on left side.
Provoke, please.
4. All right, and then she's doing that stocked up water that we were talking about earlier. She kept it for now, so it's going to be water go right was our call. So we're right here, so we get knocked, and then we're going to get knocked again from the other side.
Water go right. Water go right. Watch damage.
Reposition next to the red button on the floor. Mustard bomb, it's the same as the first one we did earlier. I didn't get hit, Fizzy didn't get hit, so we're the ones taking. Notice how we're on the same side of the room, kind of just to use eyes or call out who's taking what. I think Fizzy says, I'll take far here.
Me and Fizzy?
I'll go far.
Yeah, so
Stop moving.
I knew I was closer to Theo, so I kind of just left the other one to Fizzy. Let me blow up.
Please focus up.
All right, stalking water go right again. That's for later.
So be after the cannon bullshit.
All right, this is the stupid cannon bullshit. I think there's a much better way to do this probably, and that is tank LBing. But what our priority here was, it's kind of funny because there's going to be 8 debuffs that go out just like the beginning of the fight where it's either your gold or blue. There's going to be 2 long golds and blues. And then there's going to be 2 short golds and then blues of each. We had the short golds step forward. So gold, gold, and then we had the 2 short blues step back. Blue back. I would not recommend doing this strat. I bet somebody else came up with a better one. This was only a way for us to find out who was going to take what laser and who was going to take what tower. So in a second, the boss is going to make a big circle again, and then she's going to spawn 4 cannons in all the corners, 1 in each corner. And then they're randomly going to be shooting either blue or gold, like this. Or sorry, gold. Why we had this short golds go forward and short blues go back was what we're going to do was you are going to step forward. You're going to look at your partner because the shorts have to take the cannons first. Otherwise, their debuff will go off and they'll die and kill everyone. They have to soak first. They're going to look at their partner. These golds are going to look at each other. One of them's on the left. One of them's on the right. So they're going to try to do that. Oh, and hey, it works. This guy would go here to the opposite color. And this guy would go here to the opposite color. If this guy tried to go right and there wasn't a blue for him to take, he would instead take the south one on whatever side it was on. And that works out every time. So like if he couldn't go here and he couldn't go here, he would just go here instead. So it's kind of just like a snake prio if you think about it, like an impromptu snake prio. I'm positive somebody else will come up with a better way to do this, but that's how we did it. If you're not taking the first cannons, you're taking the first towers. So you would find your long buddy, and then the yellows or the golds would go north or west tower, and then the long blues would go south or east tower.
Happy is fact checking for happy lasers. Yellow forward,
Happy lasers, baby. Debuffs go out. I'm long gold, so I know that I'm going to be the north or the west tower immediately. And my partner is Zeph, because he's still in line with me. We had a little bit of a mishap here where somebody with a long blue went out first. It was Nuber. He needed to stay in line, but he corrected it and made sure everybody heard him, so there wasn't any confusion. There's lots of time on this mechanic. Okay. So I'm looking for the north or the west tower. Here's what happens. Let me go back a little bit. It's easier to see before I move my camera. The towers are denoted by the adds with the wings. So the cannons are on all the inner cardinals, as you can see. And then there's a wing add here, and there's a wing add on the other side. They always spawn on opposites. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Anyways, you look at where the wing add is facing, not where they are. Where they are facing. This ad is looking south. This ad, because of that, is looking north. That's where the towers are going to spawn, wherever they land. They're throwing themselves in that direction and making a tower. The fucked up thing about this is that the ads can spawn looking inward too, which is a really slight difference. If they were spawning inward like this, these would be east and west towers because they'd be throwing them across the arena like this instead of diagonally like this. It's kind of fucked up, really fucked up actually. So if you're a tower, you need to look at the ads and you need to really make sure what direction they're facing. I see that they're facing like this, which means that they're north and south towers. Since I'm long yellow, our priority that we agreed upon was that long yellow is either north or west for the towers. There's a north tower. That's me. That's where I'm going.
Towers north-south. Point cannons east-west.
All right, while we're in this tower, I almost jumped off the arena there, by the way. Me and Zeph are body languaging, and what that means is we're specifically standing left and right of each other. Because after these towers go off, we need to cleanse our debuff too. Otherwise, we'll blow up and kill everyone. And so I need to get hit by a blue cannon after my tower goes off. So what me and Zeph are going to do is we're going to split up like we body languaged. I'm going to go right, he's going to go left, because that's where we're standing next to each other. I'm going to look for the first blue tower I can take. It's either going to be this one, it's going to be the one in the southeast, or it's going to be all the way over in the southwest if I get really unlucky. And Zeph's going to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So we're taking the tower. And we agreed to, we're shooting the cannons. We're getting as close to the ad as possible to bait them because they're directional baited. We're getting as close as we can as possible, and we're shooting them at the cardinal, which doesn't have the towers. So in this example, the towers are north and south. So the call was made to shoot the cannons east and west because of that. So everybody's standing really close to their ads, and there's a really tiny, tiny safe spot if you do it like this. I'm sure somebody will come up with a better way. But this does work if you do it right. The first cannons go off and hopefully hit nobody but the person who's baiting them.
Watch the boss. Watch the boss.
Wicked special. She's doing in the middle. So everybody's going in the middle and everybody's thinking about what they have to do next. I'm looking north and clockwise.
North-south. Point north-south. Point north-south.
The next ads are up. You can see the next wing ad is up and she's pointing over there. So that means a tower is going to spawn right here. There's also another ad south because they're opposite, pointing at west. So there's going to be a tower on the east and the west, which means we don't want to shoot the towers, so we're going to point the lasers north and south.
Point north-south. Point north-south.
That's what the call was there. So I'm looking for the first. I'm gold, so I need to find a blue cannon from here this direction. That's gold right there, so I'm like, nope. And then I'm like, this one's mine right here.
Point north.
I saw a lot of people fucking running around where they weren't supposed to be, so I kind of just went to my correct spot and closed my eyes. I hope this is the right thing. Boom. We did it.
Water go right.
And then we did the mechanic right, completely. We didn't fuck it up at all. Water go right. She's finally sending off that charged water that she had earlier.
Water go right. Water go right.
2.
Let it be known, I almost fucking fell off the arena with this knockback.
Pots as well. Pots.
Just because I was barely off the button.
Pots
Do not fuck around with that knockback. It is huge.
as well. Pots.
Stand right next to that fucking button. Theo actually got sent off here, I think. Yeah. Luckily for us, though, the next mechanic's really easy and the boss is at 3%. And we have LB3. So this boss was dead.
It's okay. Get him up. Rip it, Nuber, right now.
If Nuber would have literally, as soon as that knockback stopped, just foregone his buffs and pressed LB3, it would have died. But he just made the gut call to just go through with buffs, and that's totally fine too. It's totally fine.
Okay.
She's dead if you LB right now.
I'm gonna wait after this.
Because Sword Quiver is happening, which is the next mechanic, and what that does is it does like a big X, and then it places one down the middle, and then the only thing that changes here, I'm pretty sure, she always does an X like this, and these blow up in bigger lines. She always does this. She's gonna place one line at the front row, one line in the middle, or one line in the back. And then you need to just be with a different, a buddy of an opposite role. So I need to be with a tank. Nuber needs to be with a tank. Theo needs to be with a ranged DPS. Blah, 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 blah. Because the boss is going to pick one role, either DPS or supports, and shoot a beam at them. And you can't take 2 beams. And so we would have gone to the safe spot, but we'd fucking murdered her.
After this. I'm waiting after
We did so much fucking damage. She's dead as hell.
Alright, woo!
Dang, we skipped all the sword quivers.
And that's it. Very execution-based Savage Tier. And it was good. I really like it. I had a super good time.
It's gonna get destroyed by gear. Oh yeah. Fun tier.
Also, yeah, I think that second lasers mechanic, the one that I was explaining, is probably going to be skipped, like, big time in PF, like, in a couple weeks even. Favorite fight? I think I really like M3S the most. I think that's my favorite. M3S was really fun.
I really think if we were...
And then I brought it up here. I think if we tank LB3'd the lasers, we would have just fucking won. Or we could have just rezzed a healer, then healer LB'd. And we were on that mechanic for like 3 or 4 hours minimum. We could have cleared so much faster if we just LB cheesed
really
it.
healer LB'd that. It was so easy too.
But you live and learn. You live and learn. Lessons for next time.